take a walk through the ghetto, where pain resides in each and every home, where each and every child is born is raised to fight and hold his own. With fists and blades and bats and stones, silly's old enough for chrome. Talk to pop the clip, cock it back, squeeze and let it go. Trapped inside this ghetto prison, it's the only home he know. Baby boy is gang banging and his mother doesn't know. If she had a clue, a second born would be the first to go. The oldest wouldn't feel the guilt, the youngest wouldn't be alone. Take my hand, I'll make you understand. Take my hand, walk with me. Let's take a walk, let's take a walk. Take a walk through the ghetto. Take my hand, I'll make you understand. Walk with me. Let's take a walk. Let's take a walk through the ghetto. Take my hand, I'll make you understand. Walk with me. Let's take a walk, let's take a walk. Let's take a walk through the ghetto. Take my hand, I'll make you understand. Walk with me. Let's take a walk. Let's take a walk. Ghetto living's unforgiving. Can't you tell through tales I've written? All the pain that I be spitting. It's no game, it's how we living. Our lives are survival driven. Stripped of it all, nothing given. A brother dying inside, hoping his mother can forgive him for not watching him better, or walking him through the weather, or keeping them all together. Three brother birds of a feather. Big brother is at his ropes end, out for revenge instead of seeing what the youngest on and who are his friends. Shorty walking the wrong path that leads to a bloodbath. All the hatred in his heart got him falling apart fast. More than losing a brother, his best friend gone. The one who taught him the most while the other was doing wrong. He tried to be strong for moms, but the streets was calling. He slowly crashed through the clouds, another angel falling. With no one around to catch him, big bro ain't there to direct him. His mom weak to protect the hood, praying God bless him. Take my hand, I'll make you understand. Take my hand, walk with me. Let's take a walk, let's take a walk. Let's take a walk through the ghetto. Take my hand, I'll make you understand. Walk with me. Let's take a walk. Let's take a walk through the ghetto. Take my hand, I'll make you understand. Walk with me. Let's take a walk, let's take a walk. Let's take a walk through the ghetto. Take my hand, I'll make you understand. Walk with me. Let's take a walk. Let's take a walk. Big brother searching for vengeance instead of offering repentance, of being there for his brother to help and answer his questions, to teach him some life lessons. He's out in the night guessing while mama's at home trying to count blessings. She's stressing, mistaken for big bro. The baby gets his brains blown. Unbelievable how more pain can be packed in his home. Big brother gets chirped while in the streets on his search. Your little brother just got hit, dog. It murdered his earth. Feeling like he failed again. He let all of the demons in, but demons mixed with him can only lead to an end. He put the pistol to his head, you'll never see him again. His father's gone, his brother's gone, his mom's is his only kin. Now she's all alone like a hell won't end. God open your gates in heaven's grace, Lord let her in. Now she's at your mercy, all by herself. Now who's gonna keep her from killing herself? Let's take a walk. Take my hand, I'll make you understand. Take my hand, walk with me. Let's take a walk, let's take a walk. Let's take a walk through the ghetto. Take my hand, I'll make you understand. Walk with me. Let's take a walk. Let's take a walk through the ghetto. Take my hand, I'll make you understand. Walk with me. Let's take a walk, let's take a walk. Let's take a walk through the ghetto. Take my hand, I'll make you understand. Walk with me. Let's take a walk. Let's take a walk through the ghetto.
Yo, you might as well give me the whole bottle.
See, if it was up to them,
Run the whole bottle.
I'd been done a long time ago.
I ain't trying to hear none of that.
But it ain't up to them.
They ain't doing me no favors.
Don't count me out.
Why you think everybody?
I got one last chance. I'm still here.
At the end of the day, what do you want to be known for? What would you want people to say about Cartel?
Oh man, just that he ain't conform. He didn't conform, he didn't give a damn, he didn't give a fuck. He went forward, said what he wanted to say, whoever didn't like it, whatever.
Wherever you at, I urge you to stand up. Turn around, face the wall, put both of your hands up. This a stick up, we strong arms still in the game. Like rappers who come to the shine, get jerked for their chain. You talk loud, but the meat gon' take the earth from you lanes. And the goons gon' flip your purse for your change. And the wind gon' blow you out of your frame. You fight back and get more of the same. I cock back and put these words through your brain. The Sears Tower's over, you cowards. Give me about an hour and I call on your family to bring flowers. You rain up ahead, yeah, what's left of the shit hours. Bless with respect, but give me what's mine for the love sours. Try to speak to the streets, so bang out a beat. At the point where heaven and hell meet, you'll find me. And word to God, I'll put you devils behind me and rep my city till they honor me like GLC. I don't give a fuck if the sun don't rise. I'ma still shine, I'ma still shine. I'ma keep moving, I'ma get mine, my city, my movement, and it's my time. And I don't give a fuck if the sun don't rise. I'ma still shine, I'ma still shine. I'ma keep moving, I'ma get mine, my city, my movement, and it's my time. It's right here worth dying for. And the fact that I'm alive make me grind more. Went to seek what I could find and found more. Rest in peace all around more. I'ma bang these streets to the ground, soar to the mass cap checks come knocking on my door. The slogan eagle here gon' soar. Even if I gotta kick in each door on 16 floors, whether it be these bars or 16 more, I'ma make it so you hating niggas eat no more. It's my time, it's nighttime, and still I shine. In the city where they twist up their fingers and throw signs. Where a bogus bitch all in your shit can blow mine. Literally. Bone fragments, brains the whole nine. Where a spit sick as you getting rich could drop dime. Lose it all in just a blink of an eye in this gritty city of mine. Where the police beat you down till you die. And the best in the game is currently young. Cause I don't give a fuck if the sun don't rise. I'ma still shine, I'ma still shine. I'ma keep moving, I'ma get mine, my city, my movement, and it's my time. And I don't give a fuck if the sun don't rise. I'ma still shine, I'ma still shine. I'ma keep moving, I'ma get mine, my city, my movement, and it's my time. And I don't give a fuck if the sun don't rise. If the sun don't rise, I'ma still shine, cause I'm still shy. And I'm so high that I'ma keep flying non-stop till I run out of sky. And if I fall back to earth, it won't hurt, cause I ain't going down till it's time for them to put me in the dirt. And even then, was it all worth the pain and the blessings and the lessons I gained from this curse? This is why I've been putting in work, so my fan can have cash after following that hurts. And I'ma leave more than my face on that shirt. My legacy was etched in stone at my birth. I'm here now, so stand up. It's okay to chill now. I got the game back for the real now. Let it be known, I'm the best, leave the bullshit alone. And if I must, I'ma ride for the windy alone. Cause I don't give a fuck if the sun don't rise. I'ma still shine, I'ma still shine. I'ma keep moving, I'ma get mine, my city, my movement, and it's my time. And I don't give a fuck if the sun don't rise. I'ma still shine, I'ma still shine. I'ma keep moving, I'ma get mine, my city, my movement, and it's my time. Yeah.
Salute, salute, salute. We are back. We are back. We are back. What's poppin', y'all? Welcome to Shy Ill Reacts, number 24. I am your host, Shy Ill. You can call me Shy. We back at it like Bad Habits. We was here earlier, now we here later, and it is what it is. Salutes to y'all. It was a beautiful day in Chicago, and now it's storming. The wind is wilding, it's hailing and raining. But we here. If the internet happens to knock us off, consider us gone for the evening, because we're not going to make it back. Salutes to y'all. Appreciate y'all being here. Salutes to those that came back. Appreciate everybody in the chat. I'm trying the 2 songs at the beginning. Let the room fill up. We get some people in, we get some people out, but it is what it is. They'll learn the habits of the show and act accordingly. Shout out Old 30 North in the chat. Old Soul in the chat. Usual suspects in the building. Old 30 has assured us he won't be deleting no more comments. He don't even know how to delete comments, man. All right, we back. Ran outside, caught the last little bit of the good day out there, and then a storm hit. Big storm. Big storm. It calmed down now, but it was rain, it was hail, it was wind, it was wilding. It's calmed down now. I want to reopen the windows, but we're here back at it. Salutes to y'all. Little housekeeping. We got the TTS back. I've been working on it. I've been getting complaints behind the scenes that the TTS is not working. I'm trying different things to get it working. I think I got it now. So there is a link in the description for the on-screen text-to-speech, which means your comment will pop up on my screen and will ring off for a minimum of a $2 donation. And it'll look something like this.
Test user donated $50. Test message.
All right, so we have TTS in the chat. I'm tweaking on all the technicals. Y'all let me know in the chat if you have any problems whenever. Salutes to the people that choose to and are able to support the channel on that level. We also have super thanks, super chats, super stickers, all the good stuff that YouTube provides for you to support the channel on that level. I'd appreciate it if you please hit the like button. It doesn't cost a thing, and it helps us out tremendously. So please hit the like button. And what else? Make sure you check out the Ill Shop. We're also sponsored by the Ill Shop. Got Usual Suspect gear right here. Usual Suspects. We got Il Cartel. We got a whole bunch of good stuff for y'all to check out. Again, I'll drop that link in the chat. It's part of the housekeeping. Il Cartel. You know, and popping. Got the solid logo. Bow. Boom. Got the El Wapo for the backyard boss in your household. El Wapo, not to be mistaken with El Chapo and the Gomez twins. Right? We got that in different color combinations. So make sure y'all check out the Ill Shop. Drop it right here in the chat. Again, these are housekeeping things that we have to keep in order and make a habit to push. Otherwise, they do nothing for the channel. Bow. It's out there. Please hit that like button. Hit the subscribe if you have yet to subscribe. Thumbs up right there. Bow. All right. Perfecto J in the building. Salutes to him. DJ 20. Salutes to you. Vernon Himes. Another one of the usual suspects. Chucky Chingong in the building. Salutes. Glad you guys are back. Right. On this side of the evening, we're going to cover the Dan Crenshaw interview that Jay did. Dan Crenshaw, I don't know much about him. Kind of felt like the first time I saw him, I was able to read him thoroughly. You know, he just looks like a good old boy. Could barely relate to us on this side, I'm sure. When I spoke to Jay about him, I asked him if he got a whiff of racism on him. He said no. But, you know, we all have different sense of smell. But I don't know much about him. I know he's a Republican. I know he was a soldier. He got an eye patch. And, you know, he's interested in what Jay got to say about all this stuff. Looks like we got a crazy delay on YouTube, but I'm sure that probably has something to do with the storm. I'll keep an eye on it. Y'all let me know if anything goes bad in the chat. But again, we're gonna check out this Dan Crenshaw interview with Jay. I appreciate y'all. Hit that like button, buckle up. Let's hang out for a little bit. Maybe I'll crack open a Voodoo Ranger. Who knows? We shall see. I appreciate y'all being with me. Let's kick it.
Welcome back. We've got quite the guest today. As you all know, I focus a lot of
It's Nick Fury.
my policy work on beating the Mexican drug cartels. So no better person than this man standing right next to me, whose name I will not say, but who operated with the Sinaloa drug cartel for
whose name I will not say. That kind of blows me. Whose name I will not say. Why whose name I will not say? Because he did the Andy Biggs interview the same day, and they said his name all over the place. So I don't know what they think they're trying to hide here.
years and years and years. He and his twin Cartel for this man standing right next to me, whose name I will not say, but who operated with the Sinaloa drug cartel for years and years and years. He and his twin brother, I won't say where they were born. I've got the bio, but I'm not going to say any of the details here.
He won't say where they're born. He got the bio. Don't they? These fools probably got a Wikipedia page at this point. We've actively gone over their story for a year. We damn near got the address in Little Village on 26th Street that they lived on. You know what I mean? Like, what are we talking about here? What's this guy doing? Is he talking it up? He's making the monster, I don't know, bigger than we do?
But about my age, born in the early 1980s. First exposure to the world of drug trafficking occurred in his early life when him and his brother accompanied his father on trips to Mexico. His father would transport drugs in hidden compartments in vehicles from Mexico into the United States, using payments he received from the cartel to just make ends meet.
Now my Nick Fury joke don't even make sense. I gotta go back, dog. My bad. First sign of disrespect is what, Vernon? Not saying where they're from. I don't know what the point of that is, but my bad. I couldn't see it. The reason I thought I was it was technical. I was doing too much. Here we go.
I will not say.
His name you will
the
not
Mexican
say.
drug cartels. So no better person than this man standing right next to me, whose name I will not say, but who operated with the Sinaloa drug cartel for years and years and years. He and his twin brother, I won't say where they were born. I've got the bio, but I'm not going to say any of the details here.
I'm not going to say any of the details because nobody knows where they were born. Vernon Himes said, this dude rubbing me the wrong way already? Damn, his face just popped up on the screen. I'm with you, though.
But about my age, born in the early 1980s. First exposure to the world of drug trafficking occurred in his early life when him and his brother accompanied his father on trips to Mexico. His father would transport drugs in hidden compartments in vehicles from Mexico into the United States, using payments he received from the cartel to just make ends meet. Soon thereafter, him and his brother were heavily involved in the drug trade, rising up to a level of trust after personal meetings with Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, who was head of the Sinaloa cartel. And pretty soon, those brothers were responsible for all the Sinaloa cartel drugs that flowed into the Midwest area, amassing a fortune in the process. In 2008, they decided to move their operation to Mexico, but still controlled the Sinaloa cartel distribution operations from their homes.
I don't know that they decided to move their operation to Mexico. They were on the run here. So that's a little bit of I don't know, maybe a misstatement. Vernon Hines said, this dude used to be a SEAL Team 6 guy. Yeah, he looks like it. Mike Jones says, Shy, who is this cat? This guy is, I believe, a congressman. Something like that. He's a policymaker, and his crusade is the cartels. Again, I've only seen clips of him here and there, and they've been real aggressive. He's this side of the gang. You know what I'm saying? He's the leader on this side. He's just another gang member as far as I'm concerned.
South of the border. 2008, after being caught in the middle of the two warring factions of the Sinaloa cartel, they both decided to cooperate with U.S. law enforcement. They cooperated with U.S. law enforcement from Mexico for several months, passing on actionable leads about drug loads arriving in L.A. or Chicago. And based on this information, law enforcement was able to seize large drug shipments as well as large amounts of U.S. currency in these cities and elsewhere.
They were gifting the United States government loads that dumb fools didn't even know what to do with. The government. These guys were the head of their own operation. You know what I mean? No help. Diego Ramos said, that's Dan. Tell us what you know about Dan, Diego. Our first impression is, aside from Nick Fury, our first impression is he's a good old boy. And he wants to fight them there cartellers. We're going to start at the border.
And left out here that you went to prison for 12 years. 14 years sentence, 12 years served. So that's pretty recently got out. Now instructs law enforcement officers around the country on cartel operations, drug distribution techniques, and other operational protocols used by the cartel. So I wanted to get that summary out of the way. Sir, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for having me, sir.
And thank you for addressing the Cartel Task Force. That's the meeting we just came from. Give us some valuable insight into how this stuff works. So I read your basic story. Maybe we can dive into some details there. You know, you said what you told us in there was your first interaction with the drug trade was age 7. So that's a trip to Mexico with your father. How does that work?
It was supposed to be my first vacation with our father.
Yo, Jay's voice went mad deep, boy. Got a deep ass voice now.
To Mexico with.
Mike Jones said he's corrupt. I could tell by looking at him. Got that eyeball, Mike Jones? You can see right through him, huh? What's his what's he do? He laces his pockets, plays the wife. Run his list of infractions, all right? Vernonheim said he kept a U.S. soldier locked up and could have got him out with a letter. For some reason, he didn't. I seen the other guy talk about him in the Sean Ryan show. Yeah, I'm going to look into him. He looks like, the Captain America that, picked his crusade, and his crusade is the cartels. Let's see how much dirt pops up on him in the near future. We can look and see if there's any old dirt. I don't know.
With your father, how does that work?
It was supposed to be my first vacation with our father. For me and my twin brother. We thought we were going on our first trip. Drove from where I was born and raised and made a 32-hour trip to central Mexico, where we thought as kids it was, the first time we ever saw cows, right? Cows and cornfields and.
Yeah, we're going 7 years old. Poppy's home from jail. We're going on vacation. You're part of the cover.
Being a city boy, that was unique to us, and we actually enjoyed those trips. But my father took us up to the mountains in central Mexico, where it was going to be our first interaction with a legal drug, which was marijuana at the time. And basically, it started at the age of 7, where he would begin to teach us every part of business, from the cultivation and harvesting to, packaging, the hiding of the drugs in those compartments, to smuggling them across the border. In the beginning, it was really just, he would do things that like just chance and risk, and we were like his cover load. We were, at that time, because we were twins, we were still unique.
Yeah. Distraction for a customs officer as cute kids, yeah.
At that time, I don't think it was as common that Mexican drug trafficker would use his family. It was still like taboo, where family wouldn't get involved. For my father, it was a little bit different. And
Margarito didn't give a damn.
That first trip, I actually be the first time I was actually questioned or interrogated by a federal officer.
First trip.
My father didn't bring our birth certificates along, so we were called up for the second inspection and interrogated about who our parents were, and family. And in the car, we had, I think it was 220 pounds of marijuana.
No, that's nothing.
So yes, at that early age, we started to learn, everything that involved drug trafficking. And my father made sure it was a lesson. We learned the interstates, the fastest routes, the safest routes.
Where was your mom during all this?
My mom would, for the most part, in the beginning, she would come along those trips. I think just that old school, like Mexican mentality where she didn't really have a say-so.
Are they from Mexico? I mean, were they born and raised in Mexico?
Yeah, born and raised
they
in
immigrated
Mexico. My father's excuse was that, he grew up very poor. And it was a way of making ends meet in his eyes.
Do you have any relationship with him now? What's
Yo, this guy knows nothing. How? See, this is the part that I don't be understanding. All right? That's like Jack Riley talking. Jack Riley is one of the cops that was hunting down Chicago. He's a DA guy that was hunting down Chapo. The guy that said, "Oh, I hate what Chapo did to the South Side." You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's like saying he don't know who Chapo is. Like, you're chasing Cartel. Your whole crusade is the Cartel, and you don't know the story of the two guys in its entirety. It ain't like their father's demise is disconnected from their story. It's part of their story. So for him not to know that is more egregious than Johnny Mitchell not knowing what he didn't know. That's crazy. You still got a good relationship with him? You know? You just teaching me a class about what you don't know. Mind you, we didn't know until we knew, right? But we're also not Captain America, anti-OC, organized crime cartel guy. You know what I mean? Shout out, salutes to Philly 500 pounds in the chat. Chuck Chingong said, "Damn, he didn't do research." Like, are you crazy, dude? Like, you supposed to be the crusade guy, and you know nothing about the guy that gave you the biggest fish you got in your dungeon.
Relationship with him now? What's
my father was personally murdered by the cartel because of my cooperation.
You goofy,
in
Dan.
2009.
Wow.
So when it comes to drug trafficking, I think I've lived or meet.
And then not only that, Jay spoke to the Republican committee that day, and he spoke to Andy Biggs. Buddy been around all day long. That was coming. You're Mr. Cartel guy. You know nothing about nothing. Wow. Bernheim says he knows he's just a piece of shit. Quite possible. He said he read about them before he came on. Yeah, but he probably said that to not look like he's just sitting there with a hangover. You know what I mean?
Me and my family lived through every possible scenario or problem issue or that comes with drug trafficking. At the age of 13, I lost my brother to a heroin overdose.
It's your twin brother.
My older brother. So,
and he's confused as hell.
Constantly,
bro. He just told the man, "Me and my brother grew to be the biggest traffickers." Blah blah blah. No. Bull. He didn't even tell him. Dude read it to him, reading the bio. Him and his twin brother raised to these heights in the cartel and whoop-de-whoop-de-woo. Right now, he just said, "Man, I lost my brother to drugs at the age of 14. He's like, "Oh, your twin brother?" Bruh, get it together, bro. Are you paying attention? Are you listening?
Family and never it's been,
twin brother.
At the age of 13, I lost my brother to a heroin overdose.
It's your twin brother.
My older brother. So it's been, constant in my family and never blamed the drugs. It was always, blame the person who was actually, involved, including my brother. So yes.
That's something that they've made clear about their father before, that he'd never blamed the game. He blamed the people, but he never blamed the game. Never blamed the game.
Your distribution network increased and increased and increased. So it started small, like you said, just sounds like just a single car, just moving some stuff across. It eventually becomes an operation where, how many people were working under you?
Well, for my father's organization, I saw his organization grow, but I also had an older brother who was, considered a drug kingpin in the city we grew up in, and he had a different type of business. It was a different drug. It was my father's drug was marijuana. My older brother was cocaine, and we started at 13. My father left to Mexico on the run from an indictment, and left us with my older brother, where we started picking up that trade, and started to learn distribution, and I guess that part of the business. And when turning 17, my older brother was indicted for a federal drug charge. And of course, it left that vacuum of financial, help, I guess. And we were 17, and basically it was like, okay, you guys are on your own after this. And he forbade us, like, you're not gonna do is sell drugs. And it was just one of those things that it's all we knew. his connections. We were always around. We were his helpers.
So it was easy to slide into that operation.
Actually, it was actually a doorknob where his source of supply
Doorknob.
sent someone to our house and said he wanted to speak to us. And he basically said, you guys could do this. So our first deal wasn't a small deal by far. Our first deal was for 30 kilograms of cocaine, which at that time was over $500,000. And we sold those 30 kilos of cocaine in 3 hours.
3 hours,
How
all
do you
right?
sell?
3 hours. So we've been saying in a day. In a day. This fool just said 3 hours. I don't know how many people you could have handed that bag and them done that. Flipped that like that. I don't know. Again, they had a network. They had standing. People knew who they were. So all that helps.
Oh, I mean, do you have people who like work corners on the street? I mean, how do you, or do you actually doing the selling? I mean, is everybody has a different piece of this puzzle?
Because for the most part, we were wholesalers. We knew wholesaler customers, and basically we took the 30 kilos and we broke it down into fives and tens, and to people who we actually knew in the street, and it just started from there. I think the next day we received a 50 kilo shipment, and we sold 50 kilos that day, and basically we just never looked back. So it started to increase. By the time I was 18, I was moving anywhere from 300 to 400 kilos a month. For being 17, 18-year-old, for me and my brother making $1 million a month, it was kind of addiction of its own, right?
Yeah,
Hell
nothing
yeah.
was asked.
Addiction of its own, boy. I'd have been strung out. If it was me, I'd have been strung out. Bernheim said it took him longer to count the money. That's exactly what they said. It took him longer to count the money. At some point, they asked Jay, how'd you launder the money? He said, we didn't. You get to that point where it's the money becomes the biggest problem that you have is paper money.
To you in the earlier meeting, like,
Of addiction of its own, right?
But I'd have been
nothing,
strung
because I
out.
asked you in the earlier meeting, like, is there anything that would have stopped you and deterred you? You've already seen your dad have to flee the country because of an indictment. Your brother was just indicted, and it still doesn't deter you. So, from when we look at this from a lawmaking perspective, I'm like,
And that's where it's at. He's looking at it from a lawmaking perspective. And a lawmaking perspective is like, well, if you do this to them, they won't want to do it. Somebody always gonna do it. Somebody always gonna dare. You could scare, you could all the propaganda you want. Some people gonna go. Ruben Contreras said, I can't have that much money. I can. Run it.
it seems like there's nothing. I mean, with the death penalty, like, I don't know. I mean, what would actually deter, people in your position from doing this, or is it just
Look, see,
deter?
he thinks
your
from
brother
policy.
Was just indicted, and it still doesn't deter you. So, from when we look at this from a lawmaking perspective, I'm like, it seems like there's nothing. I mean, with the death penalty, like, I don't know. I mean, what would actually deter, people in your position from doing this, or is it just there's just always going to be somebody who's willing to take the risk to make what it was an incredible amount of cash?
Always.
Well, just to add to that brief history, my father came out of prison at the age of 7. So that was going to be his second.
Okay, so it had already been gone.
I think it's, where I was looking for that deterrence. I think for me, with this unique background, just being involved in it, it's basically the only life I ever knew at that time. They would literally take me out of school to go on the trips. And it was our life. But I think wherever there's a way to make a profit, I think that there's always going to be someone who's willing to
Just willing to take that risk.
I think, I say it all the time, for the most part, my brother and I are considered to be probably the most successful drug traffickers, but the prisons are filled with failed drug traffickers and failed criminals, right?
I mean, does it?
Ruben Contreras said, I died from partying. Not me. I flipped that shit on the world. All right, but let's hope you don't get no money, Ruben, because we don't want you to die from partying. Shout out Jonathan Pantoja. YouTube did me dirty. Salute Shy Ill in the chat. Jonathan, I'm sorry that I didn't make an announcement in the Discord. My apologies. I'm trying to make it all habit. Chucky Chigong said, "Dan, he said the death penalty. This dude's a cowboy." Absolutely. Absolutely. He loved that. He loved that. But what good would that do? What's the death penalty to somebody dying of starvation? Stop.
My brother and I heard there's a way to make a profit. I think that there's always going to be someone who's willing to.
Someone just willing to take that risk.
I think, I say it all the time. For the most part, my brother and I are considered to be probably the most successful drug traffickers. But the prisons are filled with failed drug traffickers and failed criminals. Right?
I mean, is there anybody who doesn't get caught eventually? Is there anybody?
Before we get to that, I want to finish Jonathan's chat. He said, "What are we checking out?" This is, I believe he's a congressman, some kind of representative. Dan Crenshaw. He is the cowboy against the cartel in America, Captain America. He's talking to Jay about what he don't know, because the boy didn't do no research, but he's the cartel czar. However that works, who knows?
But the prisons are filled with failed drug traffickers and failed criminals. Right?
I mean, is there anybody who doesn't get caught eventually? Is there anybody out there that we've just,
Yes, I know one person, and I'm sure you know him too, Almayo Zambada, who's the head of the Sinaloa cartel. He's been the head for over 45 years.
Yeah.
I don't know, Jay. I don't know if Dan Crenshaw knows him. You might have just hipped him to El Mayo, because this guy, for being Captain America, he don't know much. Or he's playing dumb.
Over 45 years.
Yeah.
So there's those unique circumstances, and
I guess I mean more in like the kind of the local U.S. based
No,
inner-city
sucker.
distribution networks. It seems like you always get caught eventually.
yes, even for us, I think that for the most part, our daily lives were based upon not getting caught. Mm-hmm. We based as our work from the time we turned 17 on, and eventually we were indicted in 2004. And we basically did what our father did. We went on the run to Mexico. And it was like a safe haven, right? You're back where it was my second home from going back and forth so many times as a kid. And we, to us, it was just like a way to restart.
What part of Mexico?
Central Mexico is the state of Zacatecas, which is central Mexico. But mainly we lived in Guadalajara, in Jalisco, the city of Guadalajara.
So you moved down to Mexico. You have a home there. What caused you to say, all right, enough is enough. It's time to cooperate with U.S. law enforcement? And then who was that? Was it DEA?
Well, I think that from my brother and I think we were always in this gray zone where I say this all the time, where I was too good for the bad guys and too, bad for the good guys. And I think that my brother and I did look at this as a business, and that was it. It was a business. It was a way for us to generate income. And we always looked at it from that perspective. Of course, in our earlier days in the United States, we went through home invasions. My brother was kidnapped for ransom by a law enforcement officer in the United States. So many different scenarios I could think that we went through. It still was just, to us, was a part of the life. And
Wait, what do you mean kidnapped for ransom by a law enforcement?
yes,
How did that work? So like,
He's so surprised. Like, one of ours? You mean a thin blue liner kidnapped your brother? What do you mean? I don't believe this. What? Not in my America. They don't do that in my America.
it still was.
Yo, hit that like button, y'all. Concurrent viewers is more than double what the likes are. Let's get them likes up. I appreciate y'all. Them likes help. Them likes don't cost a thing.
Just to us was a.
Kamar Lumpkins, is this Jay? Absolutely is, yes. Vernon Himes said a lot of his own people don't like this dude. I wonder why. I mean, I already had a disposition to not like him, but that's just my biases. The question is, But look how surprised he is. What you, in America? A law enforcement officer in America kidnapped your brother? We don't do that. Stop it, man. Just blind. No pun intended.
A part of the life. And
Wait, what do you mean kidnapped for ransom by a law enforcement?
yes,
How did that work? So like a dirty cop was kidnapped your brother, knowing
Yeah.
you guys have a bunch of cash.
Yeah.
kidnapped him for a total of $2.5 million. Held him for 4 days in a basement, tied up to a pole.
And you paid it.
And I paid it. I mean, I had the choice between, at that time, it was either I could call, the feds and maybe get my brother back, or I could pay it and just, because stay out of prison, right? Because once you call them,
I mean, how do you have? So, I mean, how much? What's the kind of cash you would have on average at any given time? I mean, $2.5 million's not.
as I was saying,
I think this dude want to get in the game. He's like, how much of that cash could you fit under the bed and in the closets? You know what I'm saying? Salutes Jack P on the check-in. Say, yo, salutes to you, Jack. Mazizo said the guy with the eye patch act surprised. Yeah, what, a cop kidnapped him for ransom? Like for money? Like ransom? Like kidnapped him and then, yeah, bro, that's exactly what he just said. Shout out Velez 408. Salutes to you on the check-in. Dude was a Navy SEAL, and he acting like he don't know what's going on in this world. Clown, bro, he's lost right now, all right? He's lost right now. He's dumbfounded by, stuff you even see on TV. He just can't believe it. Luis Garcia, saludos to you. Salutes, appreciate you being here. Mike Jones, salutes. Mike Jones said that was a long smoke break, but this cat don't be paying attention for real. Dude is lost. All right, lost in the sauce. Shout out Adrian Torres. Salutes to you, brother. Thank you for being here. Jonathan Pantoja, per usual. The usual suspects in the building. Yo, this guy right here is wilding out. All right. He's like, what? Cop kidnapped him? Yeah, that's what happened, bro.
before by the time, my brother got kidnapped around that time, I was making.
Hold
How much?
on.
What's the kind of cash you would have on average at any given time? I mean,
Salutes
$2.5
Eddie
million's not-
Jimenez in the chat on the check-in. Salutes to you, sir. I think Dan Crenshaw wants in on the game. How much money can you have on hand at any given moment to pull any operation you can? It looks like YouTube must have just sent out a notification or something.
As I was saying before, by the time my brother got kidnapped around that time, I was making anywhere from $3 to $5 million a month profit.
Dang, profit.
So that to us was just
Look at his face.
$1 million a month profit. So that to us was just another expense, right? Add expense to business. And for us, I do say that we're probably one of those unique cases where we were successful. But yes, there's money to be made in the drug trade, and that's why there's so many inspiring drug traffickers.
So the $3 million a month, that's all cash. Where you? And this is when you were living in the U.S.
So
Where are you putting all that?
Strip club, restaurant, store.
what I think me and my brother were
Barbershop.
successful was that we didn't want to do was owe a drug cartel money. So what we did was we invested it back into the business, which allowed us to have more time to be able to receive more drugs and give those drugs out on consignment. So
This is for all of you people that be in the comments talking to me, talking about it's because they owed, it's because they owed, it's because they owed. A linchpin of their business was to pay up, to not owe nobody. That was a linchpin in their business. But you people talk in the comments, not the chat. The chat is educated and well aware of what's happening in the story, no matter what their opinion is. My shit is the ones that be in the comments talking about, but they owed. They tell you every time they speak, their business model was not owing anybody. They was paying up front. They was paying cash. And what I mean by cash is they weren't fronting until they flipped it. If they fronted it for a day or two, that's one thing. That's just to move money around. You know what I'm saying? But they was paying cash up front. Y'all in the comments be just ignoring what people say and shit. Shout out Mazizo said appreciate you. Appreciate you too, sir. Mike Jones said Jay gonna turn this fool out. I'm telling you, buddy, hearing these numbers, he's like, Mazizo said it seems like iPad's trying to start his own cartel backed by the CIA. He probably that's probably been done.
We basically would invest it back in the business, and there was a time we had a
Luis Garcia, why are they covering up his voice? Bro, they not only covered up his voice, right? They covered up his face. Mind you, their pixels are much smaller than Andy Biggs' big-ass pixels that he had the other day when he roadblocked them, right? But they pixelized his face. They disguised his voice. He refused to say the man's name, so Crenshaw did not say Jay's name. He refused to say where they were from, so he didn't say they were from Chicago, right? Like he's doing something. Meanwhile, we're watching podcasts, listening to audio books, waiting for TV shows, listening to interviews, talking to these guys on the phone ourselves on the chat. Like, what are we talking about here? So I can't answer that question, Luis Garcia. Why are they covering up his voice? I haven't the slightest clue, bro. I haven't the slightest clue. Ruben Contreras said $5 million a month profit is crazy. That's $167K a day. A day. Right? Give me the 7K a day, take the 160 and flip it. Let me get this 7K and work that on a lower level. Vernon Heim said he's taking pointers. Man, buddy getting the info.
a surplus of $20 million, meaning
Hold on.
give
Surpluses
drugs
now.
out on consignment. So we basically would invest it back in the business, and there was a time we had a surplus of $20 million, meaning they owed us.
Look at that. Look
It
at
was
that. They owed us. These dudes stacked so much that they were owed. Stop it.
like insurance, so that just in case the worst thing could have happened and we lost a big shipment, that we could pay for it.
Yeah.
Because
Very smart.
the cartel never loses. Someone, some way is going to pay.
So you're not
casino.
spending a ton of money then on flashy cars and
In my earlier,
He said, so you're not spending a ton of money on flashy cars. That's what you got to understand. There was enough money to spend on flashy cars and to do what they did and get $20 million in surplus. There was enough for all of that. That's how much money was running out there. And Jay, don't sugarcoat it now. We know. Y'all was running around with the Rangers and the Bentleys. Stop it. We heard it all. Surviving on Chapo.
a ton of money then on flashy cars and
in my earlier days, I mean, I would. To me, it would be like it got to a point where I could, spend large amounts of money. If I spent, $400,000 or $500,000 a month, to me, it was like it's not a lot of money. We got used to that type of life, and it only increased when we got to Mexico. So once we were in Mexico, the hardships continued. My brother got kidnapped again by Mexican law enforcement officers in the orders of Chapo Guzman. And that ransom, or that was a little bit more expensive. We had to pay $10 million.
shit.
And that's where,
Dan ain't above having the same reaction that we have. Shit. Damn. That's funny, boy.
and that ransom, or that was a little bit more expensive. We had to pay $10 million.
Shit.
And that's where my business relationship with Chapo Guzman, Mayo Zambada, and Arturo Chanleva, which were the heads of the Sinaloa cartel at the time, began.
So they tell a Mexican police officer to take that action
Yes.
because they want the money or because they want to send a message.
Well,
Did the police officers even keep that money? They probably keep.
Bruh, it was a whole deeper, let me tell you, Mr. Crenshaw, it was a whole deeper situation than that. It was their Theo, Lupe Ledesma, that was owing Chapo the money, but he put that debt on them, all right? And then Chapo found out by using them to get the info, and then he still charged them the $10 million. He knew that they didn't owe him. So it's way deeper than you're even thinking as you sit there. Like, okay, so they tell the officer, and I get it. He's probably just talking in generalizations, but it doesn't seem like you know much about the cartel. It don't seem like you know much about the enemy that you're facing.
Police officer.
at the time, began.
So they tell a Mexican police officer to take that action
Yes.
Because they want the money, or because they want to send a message?
Well,
Did the police officers even keep that money? Or like keep a cut? Like what? How does this work?
Bro, you
at that
wildin'.
time we had a, we had.
He's caught up on the police officer. That's the whole law enforcement in him. He's caught up on the police officer. Forget the fact that there's 20 million that's out there. Let's say 20 million because Chapo double charged it. He knows Lupe owes him 10, and now he's saying the twins owe him 10. You know what I'm saying? $20 million. This guy's worried about the cop corruption and shit.
Want to send a message?
Well,
Did the police officers even keep that money? Or like keep a cut? Like what? How does this work?
at that time we had a, we had, all our business was done in the U.S. We had never like associated with actually like a boss at the time. It was always middlemen. They send distributors, middlemen to look for customers, and that's how it works. And that person that was our middleman or distributor was taking his, or could have, or took a loss.
773-707 wilding in the chat. He said, dude looks like Calvin Candy from Django. He sure does, bruh. He stripped right out of Quentin Tarantino's Django. Shout out Jonathan Pantoja. Said, after knowing that they were able to pay Salute without a sweat to remembering what they paid, Chapo puts the levels in perspective. There's levels to this. It's crazy. It's a crazy level. Luis Garcia said 10 mil for each twin. Basically what it turned into. So Buddy owed Chapo 10 mil and he put it on their head. And Chapo still made them stand on that business.
His, or could have took a loss, and his, was taking his, or could have took a loss, and in his mind it would have been easier just to put the blame on us, not understanding that we already had a relationship with other, high-ranking drug traffickers, and the plan backfired. And the only thing that was we were fortunate of is that they didn't kill my brother, but Chapo sent the federal police, and they kidnapped him for 22 days.
It's crazy to think. Okay, so again, it's worth noting El Chapo
It's crazy to think. It's the truth, papas.
sent the police.
He's hung up on this police shit. Like the police is the least of it, papa. The police is the least of it, Mr. Candy. Shout out Mr. Eddie Jimenez. He said twins were smart enough back then to stash money for emergencies, plan A, B, and C. Therefore, they stashed for during and after their lockup. More for what the twins are doing time for. Man, who knows? Listen, if you see the end of the movie in 30 years and, old age gets them, and you find out they've been living the good life all this time. And that's what I hope for Stashley. I hope Stashley's somewhere rich. Started a real estate company, cleaned herself up. Jonathan Pantoja said, iPass dude, I believe is former U.S. Armed Forces, coming with an attitude like he's got a tough guy ego. Yeah, he don't even, they don't know what they think they know, you could put a suit on anything. It don't make it a genius.
Them for 22 days.
It's crazy to think. Okay, so again, it's worth noting. El Chapo sent the police to kidnap him because that's how corrupt the situation is there.
You say that to me, it's like,
Nothing.
In Mexico, that's very
Nothing.
normal.
To him, it's normal.
like-
Small potatoes.
In Mexico, that's very normal. It's a bit out of the norm what you mentioned about a U.S. police officer.
absolutely.
That's not as normal.
That's not normal.
Yeah, you're just very lucky.
My brother was
Wait,
Out
what'd
of
he
the
say?
norm what you mentioned about a U.S. police
Oh, yes,
officer.
absolutely.
That's not as normal.
That's not normal.
Yeah, you're just very lucky.
It's pretty normal here too. You'll find more than just Saul and his cops. The Finnegan was out there too. There's a lot of guys out there.
My brother was very normal.
What you mentioned about a U.S. police
Oh, yes,
officer.
absolutely.
That's not as normal.
That's not normal.
Yeah, you're just very lucky.
My brother was very lucky. Yeah.
But Yeah, I mean, that's the kind of thing you see at a movie. But
Yeah,
that's
bro.
normal in Mexico. I mean, they're the same people. And so, how do you prevent the police in Mexico from going down this path, or do they just have no choice because it's it's plato plomo?
For the most part, that's,
He got his plato plomo line in there.
Because it's plato plomo.
for the most part, that's the choice they're given. Yeah, there might be some officers that just rather not risk it and to take the money, and there's some officers that maybe don't, but it's just so, it's like, if you don't take, if there's, 50 officers on the force and 49 of them are taking, I mean, you're basically, X'd out, and when you're X'd out, that means that, it's not a nice way to be X'd out. So I'm not saying it's not by choice, but it's just what's happened when it comes to corruption, and when Mexican drug cartels become that powerful, where they start dictating, what law enforcement officers can do. I mean, me being part of the organization, they would order the federal police or order, military not to patrol certain areas because they're going to have a party.
What? Okay, so then what?
All right? They shut down the block for a party, Mr. Crenshaw. That's mind-blowing to you? Huh? They snatched up Chapo's son and they shut down the city until they got him back. Who do you think you fighting here? What's this guy talking about? Mazizo said big facts. Shot iPass don't know what he's going up against. Yeah, it doesn't seem like it. Or he's just playing dumb. But I don't know. Luis Garcia said this guy has no clue. Velez 408 said, bro, the same reason that cops in Mexico do it, the ones in the U.S. do it. Money, greed, and power. 150% absolute. Absolute. Bernheim said, luck and skill. He's downplaying P&J. Yeah, no, he's downplaying his target. This guy is acting like, I mean, you didn't get debriefed? Nobody told you what was going on out there, that they shut the whole country down strategically if they have to? They didn't tell you that P&J got snatched up by national police and Metro shut a whole neighborhood down, a whole city down, and got them back? Like, what are you talking about? Jonathan Pantoja said, I remember you in another video stating this U.S. guy trying to make it look like it's a Mexico problem when in reality U.S. causes the problem. They ain't clean. Listen, the United States is a drug addict. You know what I'm saying? Mexico's a peddler and a pusher, and America's a drug addict. He ain't going to talk about that. That's not the problem he wants to talk about. He wants to talk about the other guys. He don't want to talk about his own. He ain't going to tell you about, what the CIA has done in this country when it comes to narcotics in the streets. He's not going to have that conversation. He's not going to have that conversation. But America's a drug addict. If they dealt with America's addiction problems, then maybe things would change. But I don't see that happening either. Say no to drugs. Shut up. iPatch seems a little overwhelmed. Yeah, he seems a little lost. I don't know. But somebody else looking at this, one of his fans in his comments would be like, asshole, you don't know what you're seeing? So who knows?
Led to that moment then where you...
Right, but he just broke it down for him. They'll shut down the town. Shut down major roads, public roads, for a party's sake. So don't talk about power, bro. Forget the police. That's small potatoes.
What? Okay, so then what led to that moment then where you actually started interacting with what was a DEA or?
Well, I for the most part, as I was maturing, I was still young. I started at 17. I ended that part of my life at 27. So I had lived quite a life already, and my children were getting old, and I think, I have my wife is the daughter of a police officer, and not a corrupt one, and I think her input in my life for sure, of wanting more and what type of life I was going to live,
That was absolutely my first thought when I found out that both women came from. I'll tell you the truth. My first initial instinct was that they were both dirty cops. But from my understanding, they were both clean as a whistle, man. Just blue collar guys trying to feed their families. Also in the chat said U.S. government is the biggest cartel. Absolute facts. 100%. Shout out Billy Finnegan in the chat. Salutes to you, sir. Thank you for checking in. What up, y'all? 32 concurrent viewers. Let's get them likes up. We got 15 likes. Let's hit that like button. Something you can do for free, and it helps you and me. Let's grow this channel. I appreciate you. Salutes to you, Billy Finnegan. Mike Jones said 100%. The addicts are here. The people here need the demand, and Mexico just the supplier. It is what it is. You know? This guy needs to get it together because he seems clueless. And how long is he going to fight this battle? What happens when he's fighting it on American territory? You know? With these borders as loose as they are, how many soldiers they don't have here? You know, I won't say the letters. We all know the letters. But my understanding, I'm hearing that there's cars running around Chicago with certain cartel insignia on their license plates. You know what I mean? So this guy better get a clue right here or bow out and deal with some other policy because he sounds clueless.
Had an effect on me where I did feel many times where I didn't have a way out. Like, this is going to be my life. And I sure would look for it. And I say this, I'm not sure if you're spiritual or not, but I feel like I had an epiphany where I woke up in the middle of the night one day and I felt I had the answer. Was that cooperate. And the hardest part about me thinking I could change my life was that I had to get rid of even family members, right? Mm-hmm. That was my life. It was the hardest thing because you always live with this like you're indebted to, you know, those people around you. And I felt like cooperating would make people be mad and just like run away. And I felt like it could all work out for my family and, you know, for me to have a chance because I didn't want my kids to grow up like I did. Seeing what I'd seen or just being in those environments. And I felt like I was going to risk my life to do something positive. I don't remember having fear, but I did cooperate. My brother and I cooperated undercover with U.S. authorities for 7 months against the deadliest drug lords in the world.
What did it result in? Did it result in some takedowns?
Well, see, he doesn't care about what Jay just alluded to. Jay just alluded to, I worked undercover for your America for 7 months. Undercover in Mexico with the coldest killers in the world. And dude said, what came of all this? Because that guy doesn't care. It's bottom line with Buddy. He don't think in betweens. Top and bottom. That's it. Shout out Adrian Torres. He said the guy who's interviewing sounds clueless. Yeah, to me too, but some would say I'm the dummy. Who knows? Adrian Torres says, look at Jay looking nice and spiffy with that suit on. Boy, cool ass dude. What's up, y'all? He bought that suit with that buried money y'all be talking about. That's what we talking about over here. That thumbs up. Eddie Jimenez said, bro, next time the Twins are on, ask what's their take on Crenshaw. Did he come off as fake? I did ask, he did speak about him briefly. Jay spoke about him briefly. And the only major question that I got to ask him real quick, just flippantly in the middle of the conversation, was I asked him if he got a whiff of racism off of him. He said no. Again, Jay is probably a little bit more optimistic with people than I am. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even a little bit. But yeah, so that's all I got. But I will ask him. I will ask him. I didn't want to ask him too much because I hadn't seen the interview yet. I needed to see the interview. Now that I'm watching this, we're definitely gonna have a conversation about this this interview next time they come on. I wonder if he's seen it again. From my understanding, this day was a long day for him. He said he was kind of like slow, tired, and lackadaisical at this point because he had already talked to the committee, then he talked to Andy Biggs, then he talked to Crenshaw, and that was like an hour apiece. So Mike Jones said, Jay said he already been to Congress. Where was this guy at? He must have missed that meeting. No. This is the same day as that meeting. That's my point. even with that meeting coming that they did already by the time they did this interview, it's like the dude don't know nothing. They already had the meeting. So the day before the meeting, you didn't do a little research. It'd be different if he was just a senator, right? Or a congressman. But he's not that. He's the guy. He's the cartel czar. The guy that wants to get the cartel. He's the guy. Top cop when it comes to cartels, supposedly. And he seems clueless. Luis Garcia said, I think the Twins need to get paid for this interview. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. Jay's doing all the work. He should get paid. Vernon Heim said, this guy don't even want this interview. He did no research. Yeah, but he wants to stop the cartel. That's his life's mission. He's like, oh, yeah, it was rough. Tough killers. Cool. What do we get out of your 7 months of hardship?
I think it resulted in the biggest drug trafficking conspiracy in U.S. history that's still going on to this day.
Dude, let's see if dude downplays him again.
Our beginning of our cooperation led to the indictment of the biggest drug lords at that time, including Chapo Guzman. We were actually the first legal, admissible recording with Chapo Guzman actually negotiating a drug load in the United States.
Yeah.
Which opened the doors for authorities to actually pursue, the cartel as a whole. So, as part of my cooperation in different cities, I still see some of the fruits to our cooperation that started 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Still to this day, there's some, individuals that actually became bosses of new organizations that are still part of my ongoing case. So, for the most part, as far as prosecutions, I think that, my brother and I did well, but when me and my brother set out to do this and we agreed to do this and agreed to risk our life, it was more about really wanting to bring big changes. And us being on the other side of the structure, we didn't understand law enforcement or how it worked or how investigations actually worked. To us, it was like,
Yeah.
we're going to give you 3 of the biggest drug lords in the world then.
Right.
And this is going to have a significant impact.
Well, how does that even work? There's like a hotline you call, or you gotta just know?
This guy's a trip. Do you pick up a big red bat phone? Do you pull a piece of glass from over a bat phone and answer the red phone and say, I'm ready to cooperate? It's wilding. Crenshaw needs to know that, all it did was evolve the game. All of this mess. This war on drugs and all of this, they're not dealing with the causes. They're not dealing with the real reasons, and they're like a woman that lacks accountability. They don't want no part of America as a drug addict to be in their vocabulary. They just want to blame everybody else's monster. Mike Jones said they got paid guarantee. I don't know. I doubt that. I think it was the invitation got Jay there. The invitation to talk to the Republican committee. And then after that meeting, they all came here. This guy evidently slept through the meeting. Don't know nothing about them, so I'm not sure. Adrian Torres said, must be frustrating for Jay having to repeat this story all the time, over and over. I'm sure. I've asked him, on the build up to them coming on the show, I asked them both, do you see one day, where you could sit on the porch and not talk about this anymore? I mean, I'm sure you're not going to think about it, but I guess not talking about it and hearing about it is probably a pain in the ass. Maybe a tad therapeutic. I don't know, man. I don't know what it is. Me, I'm not very reminiscent. I don't like digging into the darkness. You know what I'm saying? I do that on my own. But again, they're telling their story. If they don't tell their story, somebody else is gonna tell the story. Maybe this guy tells the story, and we all know he don't know nothing about it. But I'm sure it bothers him. But eventually, I think that'll be over. I think it'll become a well-known story with the TV show, and more people will know about it. He'll be able to have to tell less, or it'll be their mission as long as he keeps trying to redeem himself by doing good work, then he's going to be telling this story forever. Aquino, NV, just tap, salute. Appreciate it. Salute to you. Thank you for being here. Luis Garcia said you need to be in that office, not that dude giving the interview. Yeah, dude don't know nothing about what's happening over here. He's learning though, I think. But let's say, hold up, this the guy that's in charge of stopping the cartel. That's his mission. That's what he says. That's what he wants. He's the guy. He's the guy, the cartel guy, the border guy. And he's sitting here like, what? The police? They hired the police? They kidnapped them? What do you mean kidnapped them? Like, what are you talking about, bro? Mazizo said Mike Jones, they signed a 3-year contract with the feds teaching how to catch cartel members. It was in the millions. I heard that before, but nobody showed me nothing about what is that. Show me that. Mazizo, is there information on that deal? Because I've heard about that deal in the comments, but nobody ever brought me anything about what that deal was. I don't know if that deal exists. That sounds like urban legend. Luis Garcia said El Guapo. That's El Guapo right there. Luis Garcia, stay woke. Jonathan Pantoja said Stupid didn't do any real research. He should have known they had a warrant from Milwaukee. Yeah, they had to get out of there. They were on the run in America. But let's say Jay should have just walked out in that interview. I'd be frustrated with Kenshaw. I think I don't even think Jay's picking up on how flippant this guy is. And maybe it's us. Maybe we're cynics. You know what I'm saying? Maybe we just don't trust people. But I think Jay was just going through the motions in this conversation. You know, but he had to pick up the bat phone to cooperate.
How to get to the right people.
You know what? That was probably the most difficult part of cooperating, that we had to reach out to people and we were putting our life on the line and putting it in the hands of, an attorney or someone who would pick up the phone, because me being part of the organization knew that the government officials were turning over all the information.
Yeah.
They have lists of every government official, every U.S. government official, where they live, what cars they drive, and they get that intel on the regular. So that was probably the most, difficult moments, because we wanted to initiate it, but we just didn't know how. And lucky enough for us, our attorney, long-term attorney, we were able to trust in him, and he started the process.
Okay. From inside Mexico.
We were inside Mexico. He was in the U.S.
Okay. And that's how it began.
And that's how it began. Yes.
And do you regret it? So it didn't happen because you were in trouble or anything, or I read in your bios because there were some warring factions, but I don't know what that means.
I think for the
How you don't know what that? There was some warring factions. How is it that you, of all people, don't say it was, BLO versus Chapo and I don't understand. I don't know if this guy's playing dumb. Did he get into politics and just pick, I'm going to be the guy that says the word cartel a lot and goes after the cartels? Or is this something he really wants to do? Because he sounds like a Chicago gang cop or something. A gambling investigator or some shit. Like, I don't understand. This guy does not sound like the guy. Is he chewing his nails? He doesn't sound like the guy that's going after the cartel.
Well, I think that it's hard for someone to look into my life, especially when they haven't lived it, to say, well, this is your reason. And I heard.
And the reason I say he's the cartel guy, because every time I've seen him in a kerfuffle or in somebody's face, it's always been cartel talk. I thought this was the guy. I think he is the guy.
I've heard the story before about there was 2 warring factions. There was. To us, it was just another day in the drug trade. There's 2 warring factions. We were threatened, as well as we were probably threatened each and every day we were in the business.
So nothing new. There wasn't a moment that stopped it.
What me and my brother say is that I think we were more scared of what we were going to become, because what we envisioned coming. I think that we didn't want to cross the line. My brother and I were not violent. We were always on the business side. But
all right, so that's something that we've heard the whole time. They've always been on the business side. Now let's make a movie real quick. What happens if the twins decide, you know what, bro? We're gonna arm up. Yeah, cojones. This war, we're gonna end this war between y'all. All right, that's a movie right there. It's a fiction, but there's a movie right there. All right, these guys decided to become. They had no bodies, no drama, no violence, and then at one point they just decide to go crazy, and it's overkill. All right, super overkill, and they take everything they've learned and they seen in the game, and they use it just to torture and destroy everybody. I don't know. I might have got just demonetized 6 different ways in just a couple of words I just said, and none of them were the word fuck. How ironic. Brennan Heim said he's a fan trying not to act like one. It comes off like that sometimes. Mike Jones said they had big balls, bro, doing that shit while they were in Mexico, tricking the corruption that is going on there. I'm surprised that the cartel didn't get wind. It's crazy, dog. 7 months of that. Very crazy, dog. Just let you know that they were able to peep the holes in the game and maneuver through them for 7 months, you know? Which is why I say if they decided that they were just going to go a puro violence, you know, there's a movie in that too. Eddie Jimenez said, didn't know Crenshaw is the drug czar. During 3 tours in Afghanistan, he got into gunfights before an IED took his eye. Too bad he's coming off as a weak politician. Bro, my understanding is that his crusade, I don't know if he's the drug czar. I'm calling him that, right? But my understanding with his political stance is everything I've ever seen him in, he's bitching about the border and the cartel. Everything. But he don't seem to know nothing about it. Shout out Master Khaliki. Said, what's up, Shy? This is what I asked for yesterday. Oh, this Crenshaw shit? Yeah. We're getting to it now. We're about 26 minutes into the video. We didn't stop it plenty. We've been here an hour and 17 minutes. John De Pantoja said, this stupid ucker. I had an issue when I first saw him on TV a few years ago. I let it go because he lost his eye in service and was just going to run for service. He got political aspirations off the back. One of his talking points is the cartel, but that's all it is. It's just a talking point, evidently, because he seems surprised by everything they've ever done.
But now we're getting forced to
The twins were nonviolent.
We envisioned coming. I think that we didn't want to cross the line. My brother and I were not violent. We were always on the business side, but now we're getting forced to kind of put ourselves in a situation where they, wanted information of certain individuals, and we didn't want to be a part of that. So it was a kind of like either now or never to do good. And I think that it just helped us. But the fact that they were warring, I don't.
That had nothing to do with it. It was, yeah. I just read it in your bio.
Yeah, so. I think as a drug trafficker, so like me putting myself back in that life, to me, it was like, okay, pick a side and wake up and let's see what happens tomorrow. But I think us at that time, just to paint a clear picture.
You see that? He said that decision was that easy. They feel like they were under threat and under duress the whole time. You know what I'm saying? So, all right, we got to pick. Cool, we'll pick, and then we go from there. See what happens.
2 of the biggest Mexican drug cartels were warring for each other, which we had a business relationship with, a close business relationship with, where we had individuals from both sides around us on a daily basis. Both of us warned them, both cartels warned us about doing business with the other, but for the most part, we did have this like unique relationship where, they would try to be nice to us, but at the same time, we're working undercover with the federal government.
Yeah.
So
what is some of the most heinous violence you saw them commit? I mean, my understanding is if we're talking mid-2000s is when violence really, really escalated. Yeah. I mean, and it became almost like this cult-like, the worship of the occult sort of violence. I mean, beheadings and just the most heinous stuff possible.
Yes, I think it was right when it first started. We kind of witnessed it because at that time it was the Zetas, right? Who were basically, it was different for drug trafficking organizations that were like ruthless. And as a matter of fact, that childhood home where my parents actually, town where they were from, where we had ranches and homes, they basically took them over. Killed a lot of innocent people. We had to actually flee at that time. Yeah, the violence was just,
Wait, when was that?
it started right around, at our home, childhood, roofless, where basically it was because
Possible. Worship of the occult came in.
Now,
it
and
became-
this is what he's concerned with. He's concerned with the sensationalism of heads and this and that and the other. He's concerned with, the violence. It's all sensationalism. It's all talking points. Jonathan Pantoja said, now knowing the story and seeing how unprepared and stupid he is just pisses me off. Relax. Don't let him piss you off. Velez says, sounds like he at least knows the narco war started in the mid-2000s. Vernon Hines' picture went down. Yeah, sorry about that. I got it back. Yeah, man. I don't know, man. It just sounds weird. He know a little bit and
which
don't know
we had
nothing.
a business relationship with, a close business relationship with, where we had individuals from both sides around us on a daily basis. Both cartels warned us about doing business with the other, but for the most part, we did have this like unique relationship where,
I remember they tried to sugarcoat them and keep them, give them a little threat here and there. Hey, don't be working for them. We know it became a problem when just instinctually in conversation, they would give up that somebody from the other side was doing a mission or this or that or was around. And that was creating more and more tension on their heads.
They would try to be nice to us, but at the same time, we're working undercover with the federal government.
Yeah.
So
What is some of the most heinous violence you saw them commit? I mean, my understanding is, if we're talking mid-2000s, is when violence really, really escalated.
Yeah.
I mean, and it became almost like this cult-like, the worship of the occult sort of violence. I mean, beheadings and just the most.
He did worship of the occult. What does the occult got to do with it? It's just a scary word that Americans don't like to hear. Adrian Torres said Crenshaw sound like Vlad a little bit. It's Vlad Steele.
Heinous stuff possible.
yes, I think it was right when it first started. We kind of witnessed it because at that time it was the Zetas, right, who were basically, it was different for drug trafficking organizations that were like ruthless. And as a matter of fact, that childhood home where my parents actually, town where they were from, where we had ranches and homes, they basically took them over, killed a lot of innocent people. We had to actually flee at that time. The violence was just, it started right around, at our peak. And, for the most part, we were more like, business part where we would stay away. But I remember seeing, going to see Chapo and seeing a skinless man tied up to a tree.
What did he do?
Tied to a
To
tree.
deserve that?
Who knows?
I didn't ask.
What did he do to deserve that? I didn't ask.
I didn't ask, but
Was he dead or was he still alive?
he was still alive. And he was tied to a tree where he was tight hard with a chain where he was just kind of like hanging over. That's always difficult. I mean,
Skinless. I mean, they'd skinned him.
skinless. And again, for my brother and I, we were not ever in that part of the organization. Like, we were more on the, business.
Yeah, but you could have ended up on that side of the argument, on that side of the organization. That's a crazy thought.
business side. So I think it's two different worlds. So even for us, it was,
Because what does it take to be part? You were never part of the Sinaloa cartel. You're a distributor.
well,
And that's how it kind of works, right? There's all these people who have, like you mentioned earlier, some guy has a motorcycle and he offers like this is my price. If you want me to, I can do this much. I've got a tunnel. I've got a truck. And how does it? But who's part of the Sinaloa cartel? Who are the guys who get into there? Do they get like a brand or a tattoo or a card or our
What?
uniform, and then who's in charge of skinning the guy to the tree. I mean, how does this?
I wonder if he's watched this video, this interview, since he was there, because this guy is wilding. This guy looks like a parody, like something that they create on Saturday Night Live or something. Wow. Luis Garcia said, "I feel like this dude that is interviewing him sounds more like an actor with no knowledge." Well, that's what happened when soldiers want to be politicians, you know. Not all soldiers, but just, the ones that don't know about what they're talking about. Like this one. Again, the way he sounds to us, though, when I talk about it, I probably sound that way to Jay and P, two guys that were there, that were on the ground floor, that really seen it. You know what I mean? So who knows?
Work.
Well, for my brother and I,
But this dude talking about, they got any identifying marks? Are they like the Yakuza? Do they tattoo themselves? Do they get a tattoo? Are they branded? Do they have a business card? Like, come on, bro.
this is probably going to sound like a movie for sure.
Our uniform, and then do they get like a brand or a tattoo or a card or our uniform, and then who's in charge of skinning the guy to the tree. I mean, how does this work?
Well, for my brother and I, this is probably going to sound like a movie for sure, but there was a sit down where, Mayo and Chapo declared us his people, and from a certain point moving forward, we're going to be protected and, given like certain prices for drugs and open to his distribution line, and as we said, how the tunnels work. But it was kind of like a sit down, so it was like a sit down kind of a meeting where they basically laid down the rules.
Look, somebody just barged into Crenshaw's office right
as
here.
we said, how
Watch
the
him.
tunnels
He's gonna
work.
wave somebody off.
But it was kind of like a sit down.
Get out of here.
So it was like a sit down kind of a meeting where they basically laid down the rules. From now on, you're going to work with us and just with us, and these are our enemies, and you're part of of our group, and but I think there's me being at that. I was in a unique space where I was able to be with some of the biggest drug lords and the people right under them. But I want to tell you, it consists of each organization maybe having 10, 12 major people, and then after that, each of them have their network, which kind of they all work collectively together. But
a lot
there's
of people
who say they're part of the cartel.
Right. He wants him to give him the. Do you have a list? Is there a list of who does this? It's not. It's thousands upon thousands of people. Once you get down to them soldiers and lookouts and runners, it's a whole different game.
Never even knew probably the fifth person, in command, down the line. So, it's not everyone that's actually, has a relationship or is actually tied into it. It works more for like I had mentioned, like subcontractors.
Let's see what we got here. Jonathan said, "I feel like U.S. violence created all kind of unnecessary violence on both sides. Since Vietnam, Iran, Contra, and then the cartels." Yeah, I mean, the U.S. sits on a high horse, with a bloody hand pointing at everybody else. So, the world, I'm telling you, humans, they got it all fucked up. Vernon Heim says he's trying his hardest to make Jay look bad. I don't know, he looks bad to me. Mike Jones said, hell yeah, they did Jonathan. Hell yeah, they did Jonathan. The government are the biggest drug dealers in the world. Not just the U.S. and Mexico, the world. Facts. Mazizo said at this point, Eye Patch low-key trolling. He definitely low-key trolling. Mr. Pirate Eye Patch dude. 773 said Jay should have asked him why his government killed Kiki Camarena. He would have changed the subject, I bet. Absolutely. We would have never saw it. He would have waved them off. Like he just did the stripper that Luis said came through the door. Jonathan said that's like asking how to join a gang or telling who's in a gang when you shouldn't. At least in Chicago. Yeah, that's like saying, a gang that has 20, 30 sets. All right, who's the leader of the... Nah, they're all on their own. It's all different. You don't understand the here's the difference, though. It's not like it's just some pedestrian talking to Jay. This is supposed to be the guy. This is one of your talking points, bro. Cartel stuff. So what are we talking about here? Agent Torres says, Shy, have you considered getting Michael Corleone Blanco on your podcast? I have. And I'll tell you why I have. I was recently watching the reaction videos that he did to his mom's show on Netflix. As a matter of fact, I'll link those to you guys at the end of this. Let me find them for you right now. I watched his reaction videos to that, and Raconteur, and they were interesting. Again, you know, us in the chats and in the comments, we could accuse people all day long of trying to sugarcoat the story and try to rewrite history and this, that, the other. So again, like I've always said from the beginning, you got to take things with a grain of salt. But I enjoyed the podcast that he did. He did it with Billy Corbin, the original guy that made the original Cocaine Cowboys. He's had his issues with Billy Corbin over the years, but they did a podcast together where they broke down his mom's TV show. I'm gonna link y'all to the playlist right here. Copy. Boom. Paste. There it is. So y'all can check that out when you get a chance. Just don't leave and go there now. So I watched that. I enjoyed it, and I would like to have him on one day and have a conversation with him. Yes.
That work with the cartel.
I mean, it seems like a lot of these, even the heads of the cartels.
Luis Garcia says strippers got waved off. Facts. Agent Torres said Raconteur had them on. Great videos. Yeah, they were good. I enjoyed them. They were pretty good.
That work with the cartel.
I mean, it seems like a lot of these, even the heads of the cartels. You know, it depends on which one, right? But you mentioned Del Mayo, who's just been free forever, and we talk about Chapo, who's operated pretty freely for a long time until recently, of course. But for the most part, I look at a lot of these kingpins, and I've been to Mexico City, and I've looked at the lists of most wanted. And
lists.
These guys they're changing houses every day. They're moving all over the place all the time, which tells me that they're not free. You know, which tells me that they are scared of actually being captured.
We're only free here in Merc. Oh, what did I do?
And in the high life, all the time, which changing houses every day. They're moving all over the place all the time, which tells me that they're not free. You know, which tells me that they are scared of actually being captured because they're constantly moving. They're not just living in the high life, you know, like Pablo Escobar in his jail in the Colombian mountains. So it got me thinking, like, what is the point of this? This life sounds like it sucks. You can't even spend the money that you have. I mean, you can. But
it's a dream that you're going to be the guy that's able to hold on to it all at the end, you know? I was watching Narcos, the third season of Narcos on Netflix, the Colombian one where they were following the Cali Cartel. The Cali Cartel was about to make a deal with the government to get out of the game. To me, that's foolishness. These are grown men that were smart enough to build these empires, right? But they were naive enough to think that they would ever have a government sponsored freedom, like getting out of the game and just being done with it. Like that's foolishness. That's pie in the sky. That's you just wishing on a prayer. And that's just to show you that these giants, these people that we look at as giants, they are not immune to feeling so little that they have to reach for the pie in the sky that we all around them know isn't going to work. They have to believe it because it's their only choice. It's their only opportunity that they can see. You know, these guys ain't smarter than everybody. They just had their opportunities or whatever, and it is what it is. But to believe that the government is just going to, you know, do a solid for you, good luck.
but like not really. I mean, you're making 100
So it's
million.
pie in the sky. You know, it's what he's saying. He's saying, oh, you never get to hold the money, but everybody does it in hopes that they're going to hold it. And most of them have the idea in their head, hey, man, this is going to either end good or bad. Most times it's bad.
Point of this, this life sounds like it sucks. You can't even spend the money that you have. I mean, you can, but like not really. I mean, you're making $100 million a year, but you're not really spending that. Like you could turn that, if you invested that, you could turn it into a billion. Like and so they're not doing that because they can't. And it always got me thinking, like, who's in charge? And some DEA agents told me, because they're not in charge. The corrupt politicians are in charge. They're the ones who, so, I mean, what do you think about that comment?
Well, as far as your observation, I give you credit because you're probably one of the few people that have ever took notice, and that's exactly what I came to realize when I decided to change my life. Then what? You have the money, and then what? You're on the run. It's not a pretty life to live. For the most part for them, it's like, I think even for me, you start off looking for the economics, right? The money, and then wealth and power. And what I've seen from these drug lords is a lot of it was power that they were influenced by. And they learned to live every day for freedom. So I could tell you like a unique story where I was once with Arturo Beltran Leyva, who was head of the Beltran Leyva organization in Mexico City. And we were in a caravan of 14 armored vehicles with police escorts, and we drove by Los Pinos with him in the driver's seat. And that was a scary moment for me. Scary, not just in just to think about like what could happen, but also scary to consider that here's one of the biggest drug lords in the world driving by Los Pinos in Mexico City in a caravan of cars with police escort.
With police escorts. Yeah. That's just like goes to show that.
How crazy is that? Rolling in a 14-car caravan past the police, and you got Arturo Beltran Leyva driving in that caravan. Crazy. Mike Jones said, that's the best thing I heard this man say this whole interview. The corrupt politicians. Right. But you notice he ain't saying it on his side. He's saying the corrupt politicians on the other side. But his side ain't none as far as he's concerned. It's just the good old boys. Jonathan said, I feel like Pablo and cartels the past 20 plus years are different because the U.S. got caught up with powder and rock epidemic as well as Kiki, which put a light on the U.S. government and the cartels. Facts. The U.S. super downplays their part in this whole thing. You know? And, I'm hard-pressed to believe, you know, I'm going to ask the two. I don't know how they feel about that. They got to know that there's corruption here. I mean, of course they know. There's corruption there, there's corruption here, there's corruption everywhere. What the end game is with this guy, like, you know, what skeletons this guy got in his closet? I don't know. But how many of those lows that the Twins ran, you know, in the early 2000s weren't government sponsored? Who knows? Everybody's a customer, right? How many of those customers had a U.S. CIA agent behind them? Velez said, that's crazy. That's like driving in that caravan by the White House. Just driving by the White House, bro. Yeah, that's like Pablo taking a picture in front of, you know, the White House like he did with his kid. Eddie Jimenez says, in case anyone doesn't know, Los Pinos is where the Mexican... Oh, see, I didn't know that. I thought Los Pinos was like a police faction. My bad. Appreciate you, Eddie Jimenez. Thank you for correcting me. So look at that. He drove past the White House. Beltran Leyva. Guards outside. He running in the caravan.
But on the other,
they probably pulled up in the driveway for lunch, brunch.
Cars with police
couple
escort.
lines.
With police escort. Yeah. That's just like goes to show that.
But on the other hand, I don't think he would sleep in the same house.
Because it depends on who's going after him, right? And that's the interesting thing about Mexico. Like, you could have an entire police force, you know, on your payroll, But that's different than the federal police force, which no longer exists. But that's very different from the military. So the military might be going after you.
And it's imprisoning your mind. No matter what, even if he did have a politician, he knows the way. I mean, more than anyone, I think everyone in that business knows that one day you're.
You know, he's driving past the White House, but he won't sleep in the same house every night. It's two different kind of, scenarios.
Okay, one day so he knows the way. I mean, more than anyone, I think everyone in that business knows that one day you're okay, one day you're not. You're still going to be imprisoned by not ever trusting anything and trusting anyone. And just speaking of him, we see what happened to him. He died a violent death, and he probably had more corrupt officials than any other drug lord.
Right. It always catches up, and yet there's a never-ending supply of people willing.
Yeah, I think it goes back. I always have this analogy where like everyone wants to be Tony Montana. And I always say Tony Montana died at the end. Of a really bad death.
It's like worth bringing up. Died at the end.
But everyone still wants to life, and that that has never been me or my brother. I just didn't see it. But not in Mexico and other parts of the world. I think that it doesn't matter. I think it's either.
Tell people if you're looking for a rush, man, you join the military.
You know what?
I got plenty of danger.
Yeah, for the most part, I think they're looking for.
Move to Chicago, mother.
First, they're looking for the economic side of it, but what I've seen, for the most part, most people who actually join that drug trafficking world, even cartels, they're looking for the power, the legacy, and that's what happens actually in Mexico. It's intoxicating. Where, in the U.S.
And there's a whole culture around the cartels in Mexico. I mean, there's rap songs, and it's a whole culture integrated.
What do you know about it though?
Into just kind of like there is here too with like gangs and stuff.
I would say this: in the States, a drug trafficker buys a chain, a car. In Mexico, a drug trafficker buys an army. And what happens is that they get the life of them having bodyguards, armed bodyguards, and the power, and most of the times, even, you probably don't hear these stories, but the cartel bosses themselves probably kill more of their own people because they could see that the power gets to someone who has a little bit of wealth, a little bit of a say-so. Next thing you know, they think that they're the boss.
Yep.
And bosses don't like that.
No.
And,
you got to give it to Jay, boy. He telling the shit out the story. He breaking it down for Nick Fury over here.
Mayo is considered to be what they call it, matamigos. Mayo is considered to be.
All right, y'all. Mayo's considered to be known as matamigos, right? Kills his friends, right? But we look at him as this soldier old man that survived it all, and he's still in the game, and we prop him up, right? But he kills his friends. So remember, for every positive, there's some dirty darkness behind it.
They think that they're the boss.
Yep.
And bosses don't like that.
No.
And, Mayo is considered to be what they call it, matamigos.
Yeah.
Friend killer.
Yeah.
Because he would be the one that would, oversee how was one of his associates going to behave. And if he felt that he had too much power and he was getting a little bit on a high horse, he would kill him and all his associates.
It's amazing anybody works for you. Like it's counterintuitive because eventually the money talks.
They have a waiting list, to take those positions.
Yeah.
And it's the culture, especially for someone like in Mexico.
There's no lack of bodies ready to fall for these dudes. This guy's like, well, why would anyone work for you? It's called having nothing, bro. You know what I mean? Figure it out.
Yeah.
And it's the culture, especially for someone like in Mexico, and you see it now more than ever. But again, American culture, right? A lot of the what's basically praised. And I always say this, that me and my brother have this saying that we were praised so long for doing wrong. And that's that's something hard to kind of change from. And today, we're considered to be, the worst kind, which I probably take, I would take each one of those labels because it's coming from people who have no idea.
Yeah. And so,
And that's what he be yelling at in the chat, and that's what they be yelling at, when they come on here and defend themselves to the commenters and stuff like that. They'll take those labels because they're coming from people that have no idea the level they were on.
life,
Because it's coming from people who have no idea. Probably take, I would take each one of those labels because it's coming from people who have no idea.
yeah. And so, life, after, when did you get out of prison?
I got out in 2020.
Okay.
I served 12
Yeah, great time to
years.
come out of prison.
That's pretty yeah, I would, yeah, it was
During COVID.
it was 12 years exactly. I turned myself in, November 30th.
Yeah, and you were married at that time because you said one of the reasons you wanted to get out of this was you had a wife. Or, no, you said her father was a cop in the U.S. or in Mexico.
Just to give you, this is going to be weird, but both our father-in-laws are retired police officers.
You and your brother.
Yes.
Yeah.
We both, and for sure they had a significant impact in
Police officers in Mexico or the
United
U.S.
States.
In the U.S. Okay.
And we served the 12 years, and yes, I'm still, married to this day. Thank God. I think that, for the most part, I see to this day, I 100% think it was worth it.
Did you have kids?
Yes, I have 5 total
5.
who live a very different life. I know that it was worth it just because I see.
So you had them before you went in.
Yes.
Yeah, and that had something to do with it too.
Yeah, for sure.
Bro, this guy act like he wasn't there for this story.
My children, I have 3 who graduated from the
So
university.
you knew when you started to cooperate, it would reduce your sentence, but it wouldn't. I mean, it's 12 years is not nothing.
You know what, sir? I always, I've been on the other side of those cooperators, right, as well. But I always felt like, to me, it was a chance to kind of like have a chance at life after all the destruction it caused. But at the same time, that's why I always emphasize, I had to be lucky every day for 7 months to be able to see a judge to receive the benefit of a sentence, which I was grateful for.
Bruh, but that wasn't even that easy. See, that sounds hard already in itself. You know what I'm saying? That sounds hard in itself. So he had to be lucky every day for 7 months just for the opportunity to get in front of a judge to be able to get them benefits, and it still wasn't that easy. Got in front of a judge and waited 6 years before they caught Chapo and cooperated for 6 years. And then another 6 years on top of that to finish out their 12 and to come home in 2020. It's a lot, man. It's a crazy story. Jonathan said, because dude tried bigging up Escobar with getting away, not mentioning what the U.S. did to get involved with Colombia and Mexico. Kiki Partner mentioned that he could pay to have anyone from Los Pinos. They're all filthy, Jonathan. That's the name of the game. They're all in bed together. It's one big corrupt orgy. Oh, demonetization word. Mike Jones said that's like Chapo having all them brothers digging them tunnels, then turned around and smoked after the job was done. Yep. I'm sure there's people that build vaults that are like that, people that build fallout shelters and hideaways for people that build tunnels. It's like, man, don't take the contract. You know what I'm saying? Don't take the contract. Nathan said, who is that being interviewed? What is his name and role? That's Jay Flores being interviewed by Captain America over here that don't know nothing about the story or the people he's fighting. U2F said, oh shoot, it's getting good. Yeah, man, listen, this has been a good interview, but not because of this guy. Jay is the one putting on the show over here.
One last question, is really diving into the deterrence aspect. This gets to the policy. We mostly, because I think the personal story is fascinating, so that's what we spent a lot of time on here. But one of the things we look at in law is to make fentanyl in particular just a higher sentence. You can classify it as a poison. You can do a number of things to make it a higher sentence. From the trafficker world, from the drug dealer world, if I say, look, okay, you get 10 years for dealing cocaine, okay, but if there's fentanyl in that cocaine, it's a murder penalty. If I did that in law, does that change your mindset on the street? Are you going to be like, got it, I'm going to make sure there's no fentanyl in this? Or do you just, or now that being said, the fentanyl makes cocaine better, and so you can sell more of it. Is it worth the profit, or does that kind of deterrence in law perhaps have an effect?
I don't understand that, how it makes it better. I don't understand what's the whole purpose of them cutting it with that bullshit anyway. All it does is kill people, kill off your clientele. It's an upper and a downer. I don't get it. Like, I don't understand it. Maybe I'm stupid. I'm old. But it just seems like a counterintuitive. It seems like a planted, it's like they dropped the F-bomb on us. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is like crack all over again. This is to start something. This was implemented and pushed in. Because I don't even understand it. I can't understand it. It's a numbers game. If you just think of the celebrities alone that have fallen on their face over this stuff, right? If that many celebrities fell on their face over it, regular people, the numbers is off the charts.
On the dealer themselves,
but
or does that
it ain't nothing but a new crack.
Deterrence in law perhaps have an effect on the dealer themselves and the distributors?
So what do you say? 10 years for coke?
I'm going to make sure there's no fentanyl in this. Or do you just, or now that being said, the fentanyl in this, or do you just street? Are you going to be like, did that in law? Does that change your mindset on the street? Are you going to be like, got it, I'm going to make sure there's no fentanyl in this? Or do you just, or now that being said, the fentanyl makes cocaine better, and so.
So he's wrong about that too, right? Vernon Heim said they're not putting that shit in coke. I don't know. I think I made a post on Facebook recently. I said, if you in the business of playing with powders, you are a courageous / foolish person, because ain't a safe powder out there anymore. You know what I'm saying? I thought it was just the dope too, because you know what I'm saying? I could see that making the dope better. You know what I mean? But I think they're putting it in everything. What happens when somebody starts playing with the weed now? Like, they need to eradicate that shit. Like, that's one thing I'm with everybody on. That F shit, get that shit out of here, dog. That shit's the devil. Let's get the chat real quick. Luis Garcia said, amen, brother, you said it right. Vernon Heim said they're not putting that shit in coke. Vernon said you have to make 5 movies just to cover half their life. I mean, that's what it feels like. 5 movies just to cover half their story. But Les said, I always thought the same. 2 different highs. I don't know why mix it. Yeah, I don't get it. I mean, that's to make your heart, fall out of you. It's like an engine popping out the hood of a car. Your heart should just fall out your chest at that point. Mike Jones said you do enough Coca-Cola, kill your ass. So what's really it's all the same. It's all the same. Either way, your heart's going to jump out, the engine's going to pop out the hood. Luis Garcia said they're putting in weed too. Please, I don't even want to hear that, Luis Garcia. That should not be a truth. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't get it. U2F said, Sha'il, do you care about politics or you neutral? I'm in the middle, leaning a bit to the right. As far as I'm concerned, I just feel like both sides are full of shit. I feel like the whole system is just, it's beyond, it's not what it was built to be. It's nowhere near it. It doesn't even look like it a little bit. It's all a scam. Everybody's up there just lacing their pockets on one side or the other. I don't even know that I'm neutral. I just want somebody to go in there and just break the wheel and start from scratch. Because to me, it's all a scam. It's all a scam. Maybe I'm a pessimist. Jonathan said, I just heard there's a new version of F that's tenfold as strong called, I don't even want to say the word or something. Screw all that. Like that, it's like they're trying to find the biological agent that's going to get us all. You know what I mean? That's what it sounds like. But let's say out here in the Bay, there's like 10 cases of accidental ODs of people that smoke meth, like mixed with F. Like, that's crazy. Mind you, they shouldn't be smoking meth either. But again, America's an addict. And these guys right here, these guys with the suits and the little pins and all the little medals back there, these guys don't give a shit about the addict. they don't blame. They don't. The addict don't have no part in it. Why? Because the addict is an addict on their watch. Some of them are addicts. That's the facts. Some of them are sitting in there on their Adderalls and their Xannies and not just a little bit, not for fun, watching a video like, Goth Beauty should be like, oh, I got me a whatever she be having, an Adderall, and a little bit here and there, but these guys on the same thing. Joey Diaz, the comedian, told a story once about leaving a hotel in the middle of an emergency. They pulled the emergency alarm, and so many people were on these sleeping pills that they were waking up halfway down the stairwell. What's happening? What's happening? Those are addictions, man. All these things. So this is America. America's the addiction. Also said big facts. U2F said, yep, the U.S. needs a reboot. Yeah, it does. And I don't know. Are we too far gone? Mexico needs a reboot. Everywhere needs a reboot. Everywhere they're hurting babies. Everywhere they're victimizing old people. Everywhere that, the hardworking poor man is getting stepped on. Nathan Wallace said, if Martin Scorsese could be encouraged to direct a film about the Flores twins' lives, it would be comparable to the best he has done. It's rare that the Mexican organized crime get the cinematic treatment. Absolutely. But I think we're in the era for it, for not just Mexican organized crime, but, all kind of organized crime, Dominican, Puerto Rican. I think it's time for a Latino story to be told. It's time for South American, Central American stories to be told. We'll see. I don't know about Scorsese, though. Scorsese did great with his culture. And that's why you look at people like Denzel Washington, they say it's not a race thing when it's like the twin show should probably have a Mexican director. Even better, a Mexican director from Chicago. Why? Because it's not race, it's culture. And like Denzel Washington said in a very famous clip, he said it's about understanding what the flat iron smells like in the hair and how it feels, and it's these cultural differences. Scorsese was able to pinpoint the things from his own life, including his parents and their recipes and the food and the people he grew up seeing and being around. He was able to bring his culture to the table. So I'm sure somebody should be able to do that with the twin story. Or that's how ideally you would like to see it done. Nathan said, I believe one of the few films that was acclaimed to portray Mexican organized crime is the film Traffic and Sicario. I mean, there's a lot of great gangster films and stuff, the American Me's and the mostly the Blood In, Blood Outs, stuff like that. Those are classics. But I get it. The Sicario and Traffic, those are supposed to be closer to, the reality. But in East Los Angeles in the, late 70s, early 80s, Blood In, Blood Out was a reality. Jonathan said, why don't they look to Portugal and their success? You feel me? Explain that to me, Jonathan. I don't know nothing about it. Again, I'm not a pro. Let me see. That shit is an elephant tranquilizer, I think. This is crazy. It just gets crazier and crazier. Nathan Wallace said there was a Mexican film director that won the Oscar. I believe it was called The Shape of Water or something like that. I haven't seen that movie. I still want to watch that movie. All right, let's get back to this.
If I did that and
hit that like button, y'all. I appreciate y'all being here with me. Still, I don't even know what time it is. What time is it? 10:30 in Chicago. We kicking it with Captain America over here.
law, does that change your mindset on the street? Are you going to be like, got it, I'm going to make sure there's no fentanyl in this? Or do you now that being said, the fentanyl makes cocaine better, and so you can sell more of it. Is it worth the profit, or does that kind of deterrence in law perhaps have an effect on the dealer themselves and the distributors?
That's a great question. So off the top of my head, because I never considered that question, but first thing that comes to my mind, and I hope that's not the case. In 1980s, the crack was labeled a higher drug, a more popular drug. The disparity of sentences between raw cocaine and crack were far different, 10-1, I believe.
Yep.
All those laws are being changed to this day.
All those laws being rolled back. Got him. You got him.
still all between raw cocaine and higher drug, a more powerful drug. The disparity of sentences between raw cocaine and crack were far different, 10 to 1, I believe.
Yep.
All those laws are being changed to this day. Still, bunch of crack dealers. Still, no one's saying, "Oh, it's crack." I'm gonna stay away from it. I mean, maybe someone like me, I would like. For instance, what was considered fentanyl today, maybe that's the name of the drug. In my time, it was like considered to be China white. I felt like I didn't know the drug; it was too risky. It was as a chemical drug that we had no idea about. I would stay away from it just because I know the repercussions that come with that. But it didn't stop me from selling other type of drugs. But I just hope that that's not the case 20 years from now.
Right, because they were doing pseudo deals with China. He just mentioned China right there, real quick.
As a China white. That's the name of the drug. In my time, it was like considered to be China white. I felt
China
like
white.
I didn't know the drug; it was too risky. It was as a chemical drug that we had no idea about. I would stay away from it just because I know the repercussions that come with that. But it didn't stop me from selling other type of drugs. But I just hope that that's not the case 20 years from now, where we forget what fentanyl was, and then it's some other strong drug, and now we're reversing those disparities in sentences or whatever the case is, because it's happening to this day. And I know it's looking for an answer that could be like, well, we could punish as a deterrent. And we look back in the 80s, 90s, just my family being a part of that. Prisons are full. Right now, we're doing everything to get people out of prison for the same drugs that the government was spending large amounts of resources to put them in. Now it's like redoing that. I think that there's more.
Bruh, he just told you about yourself. He just told him about himself, man. It's been a failed experiment. This whole drug thing, it's been a failed experiment. Mike Jones says, Nathan said, I think if the Flores twins are to be told, it should be told by the best, and that should be by a renowned Oscar director. I agree. Mike Jones said it is an elephant tranquilizer. He said, I never understood why someone would want to mix Fetty with anything. You're killing your money line. Don't understand that at all. Yeah, I don't get it. Never made sense to me. From the first time I heard that, it's too crazy. Nathan Wallace says, Jay Flores' voice is disguised, which is why I never recognized it, as they sound different from when they appeared on your podcast. Yeah. We were kind of laughing at that earlier, Nathan, because this guy did not mention Jay's name. He said he wouldn't mention his name, nor would he mention where he's from, and he disguised his voice. And he disguised his knowledge of anything that has to do with the cartel, because he don't know nothing about it. Jonathan said, all of the illegal substances are legal. They teach everyone the truth of what's going to happen and let them decide. Portugal has centers to use, and the user rate is super low among big nations. Yeah, man. I mean, they're losing neighborhoods. You're losing historical centers of cities in this country to tents and drug addicts. Like, that's an America problem. That ain't Mexico. That ain't just a Mexico problem. You know what I mean? So yeah, make it all legal. Get high. Velez said drugs are decriminalized in Portugal, I believe. The U.S. is knee deep in the drugs. I think it would just tank the economy, eventually recuperate, but it would set the country back decades. Yeah, we definitely have a depression. There would be a depression. Vernon said, tell him, Jay. Nathan Wallace said 50 Cent has to be applauded for his impressive accomplishments, but he's not a trained director for television or films. He doesn't direct. I mean, he directed one episode of Power, and he directs an episode here and there. But you wanna an all around. See, a TV show is different than a movie. With a movie, the director is there and he's the guy. On a TV show, the showrunner, the producer is running things, and different directors come in and pick up the slack. So, like 50 will direct an episode here and there, getting his feet wet. Nathan said, but he's not a trained director for television or films, and besides urban culture, he's out of his depth. Yeah, I think even more importantly to me than the director for their story is a writer. You know, to keep it grounded and to not cheese it up. You know, it's a very grounded story, man. It's not a very spectacular. It is spectacular in its simplicity. It's just the basic things of life. You know, pressure, fear, consequences. You know, all of that stuff. So I think the writing is most important. You know. Vernon Heim says, shout out to Shia. Shout out to you, sir. Appreciate you. Anybody in here hasn't hit the like button, I'd appreciate if you hit that. Thank you guys for being here. We hanging out. We got a little bit more to go. But yeah, he telling them about himself. He basically telling them none of that worked. Y'all changed the sentencing guidelines for crack, and now you're rolling those back because there's something worse here. And what happens in 20 years when that elephant tranquilizer is now the big scary monster that could wipe out a city block, and now you got to roll back the F guidelines 20 years later because there's a new bad big drug in town.
About to put them in. Now it's like
Right.
redoing that. I think large amounts of resources to put them in. Now it's like
Right.
redoing that. I think that there's more to be talked about.
That being said, it did have a major effect on crack. I mean, it did.
It did?
Violent crime in general went down.
Hey, Crenshaw, how much effect on crack did Oliver North, Ronald Reagan, Ricky Ross's plug, the CIA, and all of them? How much did they have to do with it?
Down a lot.
Yeah, I think that when it comes to the violent crime aspect, me being in prison, you know, it's just how it changes that. You know, a lot of people like glorify that they're violent or glorify what they have on the record. Yeah. That does change a little bit because it's like, you know, these laws apply except for violent offenders. I think violence and drug trafficking, those laws have helped because, for instance, me, myself, I would rather lose $3 million, $5 million than resort to violence. One of the reasons, because that's not who me and my brother were, but also because we know that you could get away with selling drugs, but you can't get away with violence. The government is not gonna.
They drew a line in the sand early. They said, "What's bad for business? Bodies." All right, let's maneuver around those as much as possible.
What we would say, play around, or take, there being a violent kingpin, in the city, and it's bad for business. So I do believe that when it comes to violence, those laws do help. Carrying a gun, it was a 5-year mandatory, statutory mandatory, right? 5 years added to the sentence. That was common, like no one having the gun, like no guns around. It didn't. I'm not saying it didn't stop people from having them, but it made them think twice because that was a mandatory charge.
Right.
So I do think that those type of laws, those type of sentences do help. There is deterrence, there is change, because you're absolutely right. 80s was, early 90s, violence was, at all-time high, and you see it kind of dwindle down a little bit.
Well, actually, this time, last question, then we got to go, is, you mentioned in our task force meeting how that the cartels are really terrified of the U.S. government. That if they're terrified of us focusing on them, taking the gloves off and coming after them, which honestly we've never really done, mostly because Mexico won't let us, in my opinion. Can you expound on that? Would that create a sense of deterrence if there was some kind of military cooperation between the U.S. government and the Mexican military?
Absolutely. I look at what's going on today, as I touched on it a little bit with the migration issues with the migrants, and that's being allowed by Mexican drug cartel. I think that's being actually, implored by them. Like, yes, do it more because it sees that it's creating problems for the government.
Did you hear what he just said? Did y'all catch that? Let me get back to the chat real quick. Nathan said the fact that 2 7-year-olds could be groomed by their own father to be kingpins raises questions of morality, fatherhood, and the responsibility of the twins of how much responsibility of the twins of how much they could have control. Morality, fatherhood, and the responsibility of the twins of how much they could have control. Like, yeah, man, it's crazy. Nathan said their own fate and whether being a drug dealer was inevitable, as that is all they knew and was forced into as 7-year-old kids. Absolutely. Shout out to U2F for the $5 super chat. I appreciate you. He said the problem is that politicians' incentives are to put the best interest into their political party and not the country as a whole anymore. And that's it. That's just it. It's gang banging. They're just having a junta and putting the money towards each other and having a powwow, and he's having a beer and he's like, yeah, tomorrow I'm going to tell him I'm coming after the cartel. We're going to go get Chapo. Damn, we already got Chapo. I'm on, my bad. We're going to go get the other one. Salutes to you, U2F, for the $5 super chat. I appreciate you. Mike Jones said, hit them likes and share this podcast if you can, brothers. Please do, y'all. I appreciate it. Nathan Wallace said, and the irony was that Ricky Ross's plug was way bigger drug dealer than Rick Ross, and he was able to walk away without being incarcerated due to him being a government informant. And not only did he put Rick Ross in prison one time, he put Rick Ross in prison twice. And the second time, Rick Ross learned how to read, found a loophole in his case, and freed himself. I want to cover that story one day because I think it's worth acknowledging what Rick Ross did for himself. Shout out Ian, hundreds up in the chat. Vernon said if they do, then they'll put F in everything. That's for damn sure. I hope not, bro. I need that to fall off the fucking planet. They need to take the world supply of that shit and send it off into space somewhere. F was created by the Chinese. They need to put a stop to all that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, they wildin'. Boom. Shout out U2F. Key user donated $5 to the super chat. Appreciate you, sir. But yeah, they need to stop that. They need to stop that.
I feel like that it's.
But did you hear what he just said over here? He said that this whole thing we got going on here in this country with the migrants, that the cartel is encouraging that, if not sponsoring it. Oh, this is creating a problem for them? Cool, let's keep flooding these borders. Now, what happens in that case? Coyotes get rich. People get exploited. The U.S. is scrambling, trying to figure out what to do with them. They're in tents everywhere. How many soldiers are they not sending in? Who knows, right? But he said the cartel is with that.
Implored by them, like, yes, do it more.
Check it out. Don't miss
absolutely.
that.
Between the U.S. government and the Mexican military.
Absolutely. I look at what's going on today, as I touched on it a little bit with the migration issues with the migrants, and that's being allowed by the Mexican drug cartel. And I think that's being actually, like implored by them, like, yes, do it more because it sees that it's creating, problems for the government.
Look at that.
I feel like because I was a part of those organizations, I know what type of power they have.
Disruption. This is what I was talking about when we covered that UFC fight earlier. Very much different story, you know what I'm saying? Much smaller in scale, but same thing in strategy, causing a disruption.
Where they could shut the water, the well off whenever they want. And I think that type of collaboration between military actors will terrify them. What type of impact could it have, like, on drug trafficking? I think it could have a significant impact.
Wait, what could? I missed something.
I think that type of collaboration between military actors will terrify
collaboration between the two
what type of
governments.
Impact could it have, like, on drug trafficking? I think it could have a significant impact. Nothing like that ever happened. For the most part, they're scared of U.S. prisons.
Yeah.
They're scared of seizures. But for the most part, they've been like in a safe haven where they could go into the mountains and think
safe
that
haven.
It's okay.
He's tired. He gets to the point where he starts mumbling his words, but he said they pretty much got a safe haven, just for those that didn't catch it. Because it's hard for me to catch it, and I caught it.
They're safe, and they could, a lot of these decisions are done in a mountaintop with no running water. and they're ones calling the shots. But I do think that they get away with what they can in Mexico.
Yeah.
But everyone knows that you're not going to get away with that in the United States.
Yeah. I was gonna. What's last guy? This time, last question.
But I'm here for you, sir.
What's the
Lioness?
What's like the most heart-wrenching, scariest moment you ever had dealing with these guys? I mean, you did tell me about a man who was skinned and still alive and chained to a tree. Can you beat that?
Well, because it wasn't me, yes. But I think for me, for the most part, in 2007, I was arrested by a corrupt law enforcement officer. My brother and I were arrested.
Yeah.
And the organization found out, called into the beheader office, and demanded to speak to us. We offered them $10 million, and they said no.
Was this in Mexico or
In Mexico. And
That's gonna happen here, huh? The organization's gonna find out in America that they got arrested by a couple police officers and call in and offer them $10 million. Stop, bro.
beheader office,
This guy's lost.
and demanded to speak to us. We offered them $10 million, and they said no.
was this in Mexico or
In Mexico. And I get a phone call and said, well, you have a choice and a choice. Either you die fighting, or you come home, but there's no way we're gonna let you go. I think they were more terrified of me coming back to the United States and maybe cooperating or something like that. At that time, I owed a very large amount of money. I think it was $180 million to the cartel. And it was that moment where I felt like I was,
See, now when he say right there that he owe, I don't think y'all are reading that in the same sense that he's saying it. It ain't like he just incurs on running debt. You know what I'm saying? These debts get taken care of, and then it's like emptying your bank account every day, dog. Get to work, flip the money.
crossing the line that I shouldn't have been a part of. But Mencho, who is now the head of the Cartel Nueva Generación, was tasked with coming to save us. And he didn't come save us in a nice way.
Yeah.
There was probably 12 to 14 federal officers, and I would say maybe 80 cartel members blocked the roadway with AK-47 rocket launchers
To save you.
to save my brother and I.
He just said, holy shit. Like, who does he think he's facing?
Wow. So you were being extorted by the local police.
I had been extorted. I was being extorted, and what I didn't want at that time, even though the Sinaloa cartel ran the place where I lived in, which was Puerto Vallarta, I didn't want to tell the higher ups because I didn't want something to happen to that officer and me be in the middle. So I decided to pay the bribe because even law enforcement officers, if they're on the take, before they try to extort anyone, they have to ask for permission. They have to call in and say, hey, we have this individual. Do you know who he is? If he would have done that, then he would have known to, hey, stay away from him. And he didn't. And he was extorting us. The bribe went from him wanting $100,000 a month to him asking for $1 million payment, in which we said no to. And they arrested us.
Yeah.
The night out. And it was terrifying because on one of those calls, he basically said, look, they're going to come get you. And I will tell you one thing. Those law enforcement officers are not law enforcement officers. The first thing they're going to do is kill you and your brother. They're not going to go out like you think. And I felt like at that time, like someone was making a decision for me that I didn't have control of. And that was scary because I know who I'm dealing with, and I know what type of life it was, and it was.
So that phone call was from Jalisco.
That phone call, no, at that time, it was still the Sinaloa Cartel.
Okay.
And that faction was El Milenio Cartel. So El Milenio Cartel was under the Sinaloa Cartel. So that call went, the first person that called me was Arturo Beltran Leiva on direct phone from the federal police. And then Chapo Mayo all cooperated. They tried to bribe him with a $5 million bribe. But at that time, from my understanding, was that the marshals were already on their way to pick us up, and they didn't want to risk it.
Okay, so you have two cartels trying to save you. One, Sinaloa, kind of backed off. These other guys
They
sent
never
80.
ordered you with the test, yeah.
They sent 80 sicarios in there.
And not just 80 cigars, they said Manchu went himself.
Wow.
At that time, he ran the plaza there, and he basically said that because he was the the boss there, that he felt like it was his responsibility, and he showed up himself.
That's
With
crazy.
AK in hand.
What happened?
With an AK in hand, boy. It's stranger than fiction, boy. Make the movie.
A gunfight, or did the police just give up?
They just gave up. They surrounded the vehicles and made them get off their vehicles. 12 officers, they were in SWAT gear, and made them give up their weapons and laid them on the floor. And in return, what they did was, because they didn't want to have issues with, bigger, like Mexico City, they replaced us with two persons that didn't look nothing like us.
Okie dokes.
And replaced us and said, here, those are the twins for you.
No, really? So like they still had two guys.
And that was, I think, the first
How
time.
did they pick those two guys?
This story is unbelievable. It was one of the Chicarios, one of the hitmen. I remember they said, well, they prepared me just in case I have to go to prison for you guys. It's okay. He said, they gave us a bottle of tequila each. They gave us some drugs to do.
Bruh.
So it's great.
They're a cheap
we're
date.
ready. And even me, who was part of the organization, like and on the being the drug traffickers we were, I never got to experience that type of corruption. But besides it being done in the middle of a broad daylight in a tourist city like Puerto Vallarta.
This all happened in Puerto Vallarta?
Yes. And we actually got on a caravan of like 30, 40 vehicles. And I'll never forget me being in the vehicle with Mencho, and there's a military checkpoint. Now my heart is beating. I'm a wreck already. There's too much going on. And I remember I said, the military checkpoint's coming up. He said, okay.
I looked over. Ian said 2 coked up okie dokes. They stuffed 2 coked up, tequila up okie dokes in the back of the car and said, go on your way. Oh, man. Let me see something. Now that we're here. Velez said, I don't know, was listening to an interview of a guy working for DuPont here in the U.S. making F in the 80s or early 90s. I don't doubt it. Chemistry's chemistry. The problem is somebody gave the recipe to, to like RZA and Snowfall, and he's teaching somebody else how to do it, and it's everywhere now. Mike Jones said because they're making a big loot, and it depends on how far their way the migrants come from. That's bigger loot for the cartel, plus they turning them into mules. There's a whole lot going on in that situation. Nathan Wallace said the Flores twins seem extremely selective with podcasts they appear on, as they have avoided Vlad TV, Al Prophet, and others that speak on similar topics, but I doubt they need the money. Yeah, they pick and choose where they want to talk, for sure. Ian said definitely in Mexico. Jonathan said I feel like this is the mental story. Absolutely. That's going to be the benefit for us when the show happens, because we already got a basic understanding. We'll be able to call bullshit on the show. Mike Jones said that's going to be a series show. It's going to be dope. Absolutely. I agree.
Bulletproof, vest. They have the Berchetas radios.
So they're pulling up on a
AK-47s,
military checkpoint.
Pickups full of armed men. Waved. Military waves us through.
Waved.
At that point, I was shocked because, from my understanding, those military officers were never undertake. A caravan of 30, 40 vehicles were armed, and you have a military checkpoint with a battalion of soldiers
Yeah.
looking at us ride by. And he didn't stop there. He was ordered to get us back to home safely. So they separated my brother and I into 2 different bulletproof vehicles. And we had a federal police escort us from Vallarta back to Guadalajara. Both of 2 cars each to the front of our doorsteps.
That's a good service. Jeez.
And I think, even at that point, it was a scary moment. It was scary in a lot of ways. You can imagine all the things that could go wrong. And
Not to mention that what he didn't share with him is that their wives were with them on that ride. You know what I'm saying? Mind you, they got sent home earlier, and the boys ended up coming home on their own later. But
just being able to witness and be a part of what corruption was at that time.
Yeah.
Me understanding the other side of it was for our drugs that was being brought from Mexico City to the border. You make a phone call and say, hey,
Yeah.
we're going to pass by from 6 to 8, make sure the road's clear.
Right. I guess, yeah, I get what you're saying. It's like, on the one hand, you kind of have it made. You get arrested, and you've got literally the 2 extremely powerful cartels both trying to save you, and then utilizing their connections within government to protect you. So that's got to feel a little good. But on the other hand, it also what it showed you is that there's so much outside of your control, and that you're lucky today, but like tomorrow could be a totally different thing.
Those are like moments that you go through. And I think for my brother and I having some type of intelligence, it's like the part of the cartel doing that for us was more scary to me than anything, because I kind of seen the value we were bringing, which, if it was, a regular business, you'd be happy about, but that value means more responsibility, means that on the opposite end, it's only going to get worse.
Yeah.
I didn't have $180 million at hand to pay for, if someone was going to pay for that, and it was going to be my family. And, all that added on, right? It was just a mixture of things I've been through in my life, and that helped, I guess. And I was fortunate enough to trust, and, I gave my life to the Lord and believing that I was going to be saved. And just sitting here with you, sir, we're just talking about some little stories, but the fact I'm able to be here kind of to show how, what could happen when you decide to turn your life around to do good. And it's my pursuit, and it's why I started wanting to train law enforcement, because I felt like there's so much knowledge that wasn't actually given to them. I cooperated for basically 12 years. But, to me, the interagency collaboration doesn't exist.
Yeah. A lot more work to be done there.
Yes, I think that was, 8, 10 of the same agents, and we're more debriefing on like targets, investigations, but nothing in terms of, methods or what, that part of it, like the ways we actually transport the drugs, or just, the tools that we use. None of that was actually ever really taken into consideration.
no
And I felt like-
reconnaissance. They did their job. They put down their papers. They indicted who they indicted, but there was no reconnaissance. They didn't soak up any information. They didn't get the information he was trying to give them. Mike Jones said, and Hollywood's gonna definitely put their BS in it, but like you said, Shy, we're gonna know BS when we see it. Yeah, and that's the thing. This is a story that needs no. If there's a story that needs no BS, it's this story. But we'll see. Nathan Wallace, you nailed it. He said it was one of their wives that sneakily made the phone call or dialed the number where the person listening on the other end of the phone could hear what was going on. Absolutely. Big part of the story. Again, you could tell these stories in passing half the story, and it's already intriguing, but it gets even deeper than that, and deeper than that, and deeper than that. Oscar Vasquez on the check-in. Salute to you. F is a part of a silent war against the U.S. from the Chinese. They're supplying the Mexican cartels to mass produce F and kill the U.S. population. Well, it seems to be working, bro, if that's the case. We got to look into that. Get in the Discord and give me some information on this. I'm going to look it up. We're gonna figure this out because they need to eradicate that shit. I mean, you can't even burn it. You put it in the atmosphere, then what happens? You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. Nathan Wallace said it seems like for all the money they acquired, it's simply not worth the trauma and negativity that comes with the narco lifestyle as these twins rose to the top of the drug business. And they'll agree with you 150%. It wasn't worth it. What was worth it for them was to do what they're condemned for. Ratting, snitching, cooperating. But that was worth it for them because, like he said, he sees when he looks at his children, it was worth it. Right? Jonathan said, all due respect to Jay, but after everything they experienced, went on to do... I can't see this last word. His heart's in the way. All due respect to Jay, but after everything they experienced, went on to do, they still endure from themselves to their wives, especially with this interview. I wouldn't call him sir. It's just their nature to, to make themselves small, Yeah, he's no sir of mine. He's no sir of his either. But I feel you. Ian said, what is the Discord? Discord is a private server. It's our own little social network for people that are on this channel. We got about 21 members in there. We're able to share links, have conversation. There's chat rooms. There's voice chats. We're growing it slowly. Here's the link for it. If you'd like to create a username, get in there with us. And there it is.
It left that void where we actually transported drugs or just, the tools that we use. None of that was actually ever really taken into consideration.
All of that information, they were right there to give them, and these fools didn't even think about it. But Les said India is a big supplier of the precursors now too. Like, they need to eradicate all of those, send Iron Man to all of those facilities and take them buildings down, bro. All right? That stuff is not... it just shouldn't exist.
And I felt like it left that void where, I came home and I said, you know what, this could be something where I could start that road to redemption. And I appreciate Jeremy Ellison from Dynamic Police Training. He gave me the opportunity to come in. And I know it's still kind of weird for people to know my background and think, well, how can I trust you? And I tell all the officers all the time, I was like, there's nothing that you could tell me about drug trafficking that I don't know. Mm-hmm. And I feel like with my experience and knowledge, I feel like I could give back. It's just the beginning for me, especially if I'm given those opportunities.
Well, appreciate you being here. Appreciate you doing this.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, sir. You don't know shit about your enemy. You're surprised by everything. All right, salute to Jay though. He held that interview together. Gave this dude the story, stuff that we knew. We could have hip dude to it. But he was clueless. Salutes to y'all. I appreciate y'all being here. It's 11 o'clock. We did roughly 5.5 hours of streaming today, live. Felt good to be back. Felt good to hang out with you guys. Again, it's been a busy couple of weeks since the twins were on the first time. It's been constant interview, constant editing, but we're back. Today was a good day, and I appreciate y'all for being here. Jonathan said Discord is where it's popping afterwards. After party in the Discord. Nathan Wallace said, I agree with Jonathan that the way they portray themselves as good, bad guys or good guys that were doing bad things amongst really bad people like El Chapo, Maya, Mencho, and La Barbie is worrying. I mean, but that's what they were. They were in the mix. They weren't around it. They were all the way in it. Mike Jones said, I got to go, Shy. Good shit, my brother. I'll be back to call my shorty back. Y'all stay up. Got to call my shorty back. Y'all stay up. Salutes to you. Salutes to her. Have a good day tomorrow. Have a good night. Appreciate you. Hundreds up in the chat. We getting out of here, y'all. Hundreds up in the chat. Salute to y'all. Have a great day at work tomorrow. Make sure y'all check out a video on the channel that you have yet to watch. We need the We need to get a jump start in this algorithm. Hit them like buttons, hit them subscribe buttons, share with your friends, all the good stuff. And we'll be back soon. I'll be editing these last 2 live streams from today and putting them out this week. Tomorrow we got episode 3 of the interview with JC from Wrong to Strong dropping. And maybe tomorrow we go live or the next day. I'll keep y'all posted. But hundreds in the chat. Y'all have a good day tomorrow. Have a good night tonight. I appreciate you all. We had a good time. We kicked it. We got to see Nick Fury, talk about a bunch of stuff he don't know. Appreciate you all for being here. Salutes to the usual suspects. Salutes to the rest of y'all that popped up today. Luis Garcia, Aquino, Adrian Torres, Mike Jones, Mazizo, Jonathan, per usual, Velez, I appreciate you. Eddie Jimenez, Master Khalik. Who else we got in here? Vernon Himes, of course. I appreciate you all for being here. 773-707. Perfecto J777. Appreciate you. Nathan, per usual, I appreciate you. U2F, thank you for the super chat. We appreciate you, U2F. Thank you, sir. Mazizo. Did I say Vernon Hines? Vernon Hines, salute to you. Chucky Chingon checked in. DJ 20s. 030 North, of course. Old Soul, per usual. I appreciate you all for being here. We had a good time. Kicked it. And I'm going to... I appreciate you guys. Big June, salutes to you. Big June said, do not forget to tap the like button on the way out. We got 39 concurrent viewers on the way out. I'm gonna on the exit. I'm gonna play 2 songs. On the way out, make sure you guys check out the Ill Shop. All right, make sure you guys check out the Ill Shop. Go check out a playlist or a video that you haven't seen yet on my channel, please. And I'll see y'all this week, man. Shout out DMG. Shout out Shia from Dallas. Appreciate you, man. Salutes to Dallas. We got a lot of people checking in from Dallas. Jonathan said I was more on the side that I wouldn't degrade myself to any of these unknowledgeable politicians. Salute Shia in the chat. Salutes to you, sir. I appreciate you. All right, y'all have a great night. I'm going to play 2 joints on the way out. And I'll see y'all in the coming days. Y'all have a great week, man. Keep y'all heads up, man. It only gets better. Keep moving forward. I mean. And let me see what I'm doing here. Let's cover that out. It's here. No, I know what I wanted. I wanted this. Peace out, Luis Garcia. Appreciate you. All right, y'all. Y'all have a good night. Peace. Hold on, I'm gonna get these records on here. Oh, hold on, that's not working. Hold on, I'm back, y'all. I'm back. What I needed didn't work. So we're gonna go somewhere else real quick. I think I'm gonna have a beer. It's been one of those long, good days. Got locked out. See where I can find this here. We're gonna do it from right here. Let's see if we can. No, that didn't work for me either. I gotta log in. Let me log in. Alright, everything's acting funny on the out, but I'll make sure that I fix all of this for future times. With that said, we're gonna get out of here with Bring me down.
Jelly roll.
Pinche jelly roll. All right, y'all. Y'all have a good night.
Pain profound, it's deep where the heart makes sound. One last beat and it might bleed out. I just might leave now, empty these airbags and lie me down. See the lies in your eyes catching up with your mouth. I made my mistakes, of course I never lived them down. You won't let me, left marks on your heart. You will never forget me, condescend me and call me proud. I told you what you need to win and how. I'm a madman now. My worst fears realized, no longer the sad clown, Pagliacci the Pennywise. The point of no return, make them ashes and let them fly. You ain't gon' save them all, so go ahead and just let them die. Murder these emotions, bury them deep inside. If I get any colder, I swear I'ma freeze the shy. All I could do is soldier, marching through a starry night, focused on the end game, finally gon' get it right. Find myself in the light, been fighting for my fucking life, dealing with you fake fucks. I ain't gotta say much, you know what it is, kid. I just wanna blaze up, continue getting rich, bitch, and blow the fucking name up. Built by where I came from, pushed by what I've been through. You deferred my dreams, the reason I resent you. It don't make no sense, you pretend I don't offend you. I'm everything you hate, but if you walked a mile in these shoes, you finally understand why it's not in me to respect you. We come from different fabric, different madness, different venue. We lost our common ground, the bond just wasn't sound. The objective was to come up, and now you bring me down. Now you bring me down.
Crushing me inside. It's to lift me up. Now you get me down.
Cold stares and crooked smiles for what seemed a million miles. Every demon that I let in is out to hunt me down. Burn this jungle up around me, leave the ashes on the ground. Scorched earth, cursed birth, body bags of 4 pounds. This is what we left with, why else would we be desperate? Gunning for each other's heads, wishing everybody dead. Fight the reaper often, but he will never soften. Relentless with his methods, he will put you in the coffin. My mind isn't earned, cause I've already burned. Drowned in the dark matter, mirror shattered, I've learned. You won't take what I've earned, never break what I create. Cause I have made the sacrifices you're afraid to make. My fear is lost potential, being anything but great. Succumbing to the suckers, to the leeches and the hate. Politicians with their speeches in these streets cannot debate. Punch your ballots with these bulletins, you'll run and seal your fate. Democracy's a mockery, only the strongest stay. The weak will fade away, and us will see another day. No matter what another motherfucker has to say, I will never let you hold me in one place. Your problems are your own, it's personal, emotions overblown. Living separate visions, conscious overthrown. I trust none of you bastards, I'm safest when I'm alone. It's sad, I understand it's how it is out on this road. It take a gorilla's grip to hold on to your soul. Brute force to stick to the script and not let it go. You can't slip, one false move and you'll never know. Had you gotten up, how far you go? How far'd you go? change what? We landed here. It's not the same sun, this is despair. One of us came up, none of us cared. They want to change up, life isn't fair. It's how we made, huh? Now you aware. That's why you fear us, that's why you scared. They over the hilltop, I see them right there. They'll wait for the kill shot, they'll sit and they'll stare. If we got a real shot for us, it's up there. We're hopeless if we stop, they'll kill us right here. Living in death's den, run through the best winds, storming the front gates. Whatever gets us in, whatever gets us over, whatever helps us win, whatever we must do. Rescuing our kids, as long as they get through it, don't matter if we live. God chose to bless you, I'll take all that death gives. I'm into this war ends, in memory of dead friends, in hope of a new way when all of this death ends. Who can we call on? It's me and it's all y'all. We're here by our lonesome, nobody to fall on. Flesh in the dirt, fire to ashes, fate getting closer every moment that passes. Running away, no one is there, no one to save us, nothing to spare. How can I change what? We landed here. It's not the same sun, this is despair. One of us came up, none of us cared. They want to change up, life isn't fair. It's how we made, huh? Now you aware. That's why you fear us, that's why you scared. Show me a safe place, does it exist? It must be a wasteland where nobody lives, that nobody knows of, where nobody's been. Where we at is warfare, every kind you can get. What you can't get is real love and fucking respect. Set up for failure, a life of neglect. If none of us stand up, we'll live with regrets. If we rise, we might die, I call that a good death. What would I live for if I am oppressed? How can I raise up with the world on my chest? Who's gonna save us if you and I rest? They shoot us in cold blood when under arrest. Lock us in cold cells, consider it home now. Cut off from emotion, our feelings are stone now. Our buildings are blown out, the madness is so loud. It's dark and there's no sound, we gotta go now. Running away, no one is there, no one to save us, nothing to spare. How can I change what? We landed here. It's not the same sun, this is despair. One of us came up, none of us cared. They want to change up, life isn't fair. It's how we made, huh? Now you aware. That's why you fear us, that's why you scared. The illness is prevalent, natives malevolent. Hunger, starvation now, no hope for a heaven sent. Kiss the babies goodbye, say I love you to wives. Grab your weapons, get your steps in, we gon' ride when it rise. The sun mean what when it's blinding your eyes? Put the wind to your back, leave them facing the sky. Put the pain in the dirt, raise your bloody fist high. Use your brain, do the work, strategize and survive. The rush of the dust up, the thrill of the gun buzz. The satisfaction of our reaction when there's no one to help us. The spoils of war, the hunger for more. The passion of how we smash what we hate through the floor. The rage, the loneliness of dead on the page. To cleanse this land, gotta burn more than just sage. Crush the cage, body and soul unafraid. Kill them all and set them ablaze. No running away, no one is there, no one to save us, nothing to spare. How can I change what? We landed here. It's not the same sun, this is despair. One of us came up, none of us cared. They want to change up, life isn't fair. It's how we made, huh? Now you aware. That's why you fear us, that's why you scared.